All right, we want to welcome everybody to the Board County Commission October 26th meeting. If everybody would please silence their devices, we greatly appreciate it. If everybody would rise, we have Commissioner Slayball going to give us the invocation today.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for today, and we thank you for your grace and forgiveness for our sins, and we pray that we forgive those that have sinned against us. Lord, please give us wisdom, and please give us empathy so that we can go through the dealings of the county and do it in a wise and a productive way. And thank you for all that you do. In your name, amen.
Amen. If everybody could continue standing, we have two lady vets today that will lead us in our pledge. It's Jane Money, retired Vietnam vet, Air, Navy, MS-1, and photographer. Besides serving as treasurer for Female Veterans Network, she's also the president of the Fleet Reserve Association and active in the American Legion. Our other one is Joe Money, served 12 years Navy Reserve Nurse Corps, assigned to lieutenant to the Fleet Hospital during the first Gulf War to the beginning of the second Gulf War. She also works for the VA, retired after 23 years. She volunteers at the Clinic for the Homeless, active in her club, works occasionally with a disaster relief with her church, and serves as VP of the Female Veterans Network. So if everybody would face the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For everybody, we give them a round of applause for their service. All right. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
This is a regular meeting of the Citrus County Board of County Commissioners this 26th day of October 2021. In attendance are Chairman Scott Carnahan, First Vice Chairman Ronald E. Kitchen Jr., Second Vice Chairman Ruthie Shabaugh, Commissioners Jeff Kennard and Holly Davis, County Administrator Randy Oliver, and County Attorney Denise A. Diamond Lynn.
Thank you. On our approval of the agenda today, we've added items G4 and G5. We got extra info on E10, H1, T2, and E1F. And also, we need to move E1C to after 2 o'clock because we have a public hearing on that one.
Chair, move approval of the agenda with the listed changes.
Motion by Commissioner Davis.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Slayball. Is there any public comments on the agenda? Any public comments? Seeing none, we'll close that. Commissioners, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Consent agenda. Take it in entirety, or do you want to pull anything?
Mr. Chair, motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Kennard.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Is there any public comments on the consent agenda? Seeing none, Commissioners, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Proclamations.
Mr. Chair, motion to approve the proclamations.
Motion by Commissioner Kennard.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Slayball. Is there any public comments on the consent, the proclamations? Seeing none, Commissioners, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Doug, you have it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Mr. Chairman, we have a representative from the Water Sense Sustained Excellent Award online through Teams, and she's going to present the Water Sense Award Excellent Sustained Water Sense 2021 Sustained Excellence Award. Veronica, you have the floor.
Welcome.
Hello, good afternoon, Chairman Carnahan and fellow commissioners of the board. Can you all see me and hear me?
We can. You're good.
Excellent. So I'm Veronica Bloody. I'm the manager of the U.S. EPA's Water Sense program, which is focused on helping Americans find simple ways to save water through the use of more efficient products, practices, and services. And I'm very happy to join you today from Washington, D.C. with happy news. While I hope that you're familiar with the Water Sense program, I want to emphasize just a couple of points. We operate as a voluntary partnership program, and our partners include manufacturers who make the products, and retailers who sell them, and promotional partners. And I consider the water providers to be our most critical promotional partners because they're on the front lines in communicating with the consumers. And so much of our programming is really focused on working with them and giving them tools to make their jobs easier. And we have more than 2,000 partners across the country, including close to 130 in Florida. And over the last 15 years, they've helped us save more than 5.3 trillion gallons of water and 108 billion in consumer bills. So one of the highlights of my year is the annual recognition of our partners of the year at the Water Smart Innovations Conference in Las Vegas. And with ongoing travel restrictions due to the pandemic, we couldn't all be there in person this year. So we're presenting our 34 awards in a variety of ways. 17 folks received their awards at the conference a few weeks ago, but today I'm happy to join you to recognize the Citrus County Utilities with a 2021 Sustained Excellence Award for their efforts in 2020. And this is your third Sustained Excellence Award, and it's our highest level of achievement, and it reflects your ongoing fine work. You know, we know our partners were challenged in 2020 as the pandemic hindered their ability to meet people face to face, but they were resilient and they adapted their programs to ensure they could serve their communities. And fortunately for Citrus County, many of your activities, including your Great Fix Leak Week program and Shrimpalooza, was able to proceed. And we very much appreciated seeing how you wove WaterSense content into your website, your social media accounts, and your other consumer-facing materials. And I wish you could see, I guess you can see it today. You can see the big smile on my face, because every year I see the photos that you share of students holding the We're for Water sign as part of their participation in the annual Classroom Challenge program. And with all the challenges that teachers faced last year, I think they really appreciated having the easy-to-use materials that the utility provides to them. You know, Citrus County has trained hundreds of students on how to find leaky toilets. They found a lot of them, and they're saving a lot of water, and I have to believe that those students are going to carry that awareness of water waste throughout their lives. And I bet you'll never see a running toilet in their homes when they're grown-ups. I know that controlling outdoor water use is also a big issue for many of our partners because people don't understand their water use. And meeting people where they are can go a long way towards improving their knowledge. And so that's why I've really liked following the progress of the workshops that you do and the Schedule Specialist program that Citrus County runs, where they go right to the homeowner and show them how to use their equipment. What is more unique about your utility, and it's a pretty small utility when you compare it to a lot of the larger systems out there, is the emphasis that you place on research and follow-up to make sure that the work you're doing really does save water. The fact that you monitor the pre and post water use of the customers who receive that Schedule Specialist assistance really helps you to see how your program is making a difference. And we have paid attention to the collaborative irrigation evaluation initiative that you've supported, because it helps us to better understand both the impact of irrigation checkups and the added benefits of the WaterSense stable controllers that we have out there. So as a small voluntary program here at EPA working to help consumers save water, energy, and money, we need to rely on the efforts of many others to help us spread the good word about WaterSense. And while that might sound like a challenge, what's great is that it leads to a feeling of family. We are focused on helping each other to succeed. And Citrus County demonstrated that fact as they worked with their own local family utilities and used their experience to really help them in their programs to improve their own programs. So I just really think you need to be proud of the efforts of Deborah Burden and the commitment of all your staff who work on water efficiency. I really look forward to seeing what the county, the district, and your other partners have in store for the future. Again, I wish you a warm congratulations and best wishes for more achievements. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.
Commissioners, any
And
questions?
a round of applause as well for everyone.
You know, I'll jump out there. First and foremost, Deborah Burden's right here. She does a tremendous job. Ken Cheek does a tremendous job, and their team is just unbelievable in what they get accomplished. So, with that, we want to thank you guys for everything you do and educating, because water is, as we can see across the nation, is becoming a huge problem. It's a resource that we're going to have to continue to conserve, and so we appreciate your efforts on what you've done. Commissioners, any other comments? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. Can you come down, please, sir? Get that behind.
You wouldn't get away that easy.
They're all pretty well trained. They know where to stand. Can you see from the Yes, I can. You're like a block
He's good at finding his window.
All right. Those individuals representing 2021 Veteran Appreciation Week and Veterans Day, come forward, please. Okay. The Board of County Commissioners, Citrus County, Florida, Proclamation 2021 Veterans Appreciation Week and Veterans Day. Whereas this year's theme for Veterans Appreciation Week is honoring National Guardsmen and Reserve. Whereas since the nation's founding, courageous citizens, soldiers, and airmen of the National Guard and soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen of the Reserve have served and defended our country, protecting our citizens, and upheld the principles set forth in our Constitution. Whereas National Guard and Reserve veterans have been essential to safety and security of our great nation and stood ready to serve at home or abroad at a moment's notice. Whereas we owe a debt of gratitude to our National Guard and Reserve veterans for the unique challenges they face in the defense of this great nation. This year's Veterans Appreciation Weeks has been set aside to honor our National Guardsmen and Reserve. Now therefore, the Board of County Commissioners has hereby proclaimed the week of 8 November and November 14th as Veterans Appreciation Week in Citrus County, and November 11th be designated as Veterans Day in Citrus County, signed by all 5 county commissioners.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank all veterans, starting from World War II, going forward to the war in Afghanistan. We have over 20,000 veterans here in the county, and a lot of these veterans impact the community every day through numerous groups like the Citrus County Veterans Foundation, the Female Veterans Network, and they really kind of fill the gap where the VA doesn't have services, or the veteran doesn't meet the need. These local groups do a tremendous amount of work for the community, and I just want to thank everyone for that.
We want to thank you for what you do also.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one is duplicated, but it's for the Nature Coast and for Friends of Citrus. So I'm not sure if either one of those are represented this morning, this afternoon. Okay. The Board of County Commissioners of Citrus County, Florida, Proclamation Children's Grief Awareness Day. Whereas children who have experienced the death of a loved one, especially a close family member, carry the loss with them forever. And it sometimes causes confusion in their minds of youngsters as they struggle to understand why their loved ones were taken away. Whereas the great majority of grieving children feel alone, not understood, and fearful on top of their feelings of grief, leading in many cases to inability to manage or even face their grief. And whereas many adults and other children erroneously believe that grieving children are resilient enough that they just get over their grief so much that children have often been called forgotten mourners. And whereas Children Grief Awareness Month hopes to raise awareness of the painful impact of the death of a loved one has on the life of a child, and is provide ways for caring adults and young people to let grieving children know that they are not forgotten in the midst of their grief. And whereas the Children Grief Awareness Month is observed each year on Thursday before Thanksgiving, immediately preceding the winter holidays, which can be particularly difficult for grieving children. And this year, on November 18th, thousands of children and adults from all walks of life from across the United States will join together to show their support for grieving children by participating in Children Grief Awareness Day. Now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of Citrus County, Florida, hereby proclaim November 18th, 2021 as Children Grief Awareness Day, and encourages citizens to increase their understanding and awareness of children who have experienced the loss of a loved one. Signed by all 5 county commissioners.
You ready for a water break?
Oh, man, I'm gonna get paid by the word. That's what. Individual representing National American Indian Heritage must come forward, please.
How are you?
Just fine.
Good to see you today.
The Board of County Commissioners, Citrus County, Florida, Proclamation National American Indian Heritage Month. Whereas the history and the culture of our great nation have been significantly influenced by the American Indians, indigenous people, and whereas the contributions of American Indians have enhanced the freedom, prosperity, and greatness of America today. And whereas their customs and traditions are respected and celebrated as part of a rich legacy throughout the United States. And whereas Native American Awareness Week began began in 1976, and recognition was expanded by Congress and approved by President George Bush in August of 1990, designating the month of November National American Indian Heritage Month. And whereas in honor of National American Indian Heritage Month, community celebrations as well as numerous cultural, artistic, educational, and historical activities have been planned. Now therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of Citrus County, Florida does hereby proclaim November 2021 as National American Indian Heritage Month in Citrus County, Florida, and urge all citizens to observe the month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. Signed by all 5 county commissioners.
My name is Jean Messersmith, and I am the chair of the American Indian Heritage Committee at the Fort Cooper chapter, Daughters of the American Revolution. And we're not just about the American Revolution. The first residents of this state were the American Indians. So we celebrate that heritage here in the county all through November. So I have sheets here for you of how you can do that here. Go over to the museum, like next door, and celebrate the Seminole heritage there. You can go down to Fort Cooper State Park and hike the Seminole Heritage Trail. Go over to Crystal Archaeological Park, another way of celebrating American heritage. This county is just rich for it. Also have a list of books. Go over to the library. One of the biggest selling books, or not borrowed books, is A Land Remembered by Patrick Smith. Encourage everyone to read that. It's almost like our state book, Land Remembered by Patrick Smith. So thank you so much for the proclamation, and have fun reading. Thank you.
Okay, well, Bishop Dr. Douglas Alexander and Lady T, come forward, please.
Y'all more than welcome to come up here with me. Come on.
I hurt myself.
I mean, come on, man, what's wrong with you?
I did it.
Tell me. Come on. Come right on up. Don't get in the picture with us. Come on.
I'm only so tall.
Come on. How are you?
Get in there. Oh, get in there. Let's go. Come on, get in there. Yeah, squeeze in there. Squeeze in there.
Come on.
That's all right, man. We got. Hey, how are you? Good to see you.
Come on. Come on in. Get right on in. Come on in. You got some support here today.
Just checking. All right, here we go. The Board of County Commissioners, Citrus County Proclamation, Bishop Dr. Douglas Alexander Sr. and Lady T. Alexander Day. Whereas Dr. Douglas and Lady T. Alexander have been in ministry for over 38 years and founded the New Church Without Walls International and Doug Alexander Ministry in January 2001. The New Church Without Walls has made a great impact on lives that have been changed in Citrus County, the USA, and globally. And whereas the New Church Without Walls has served over 34 million pounds of food and vegetables to tens of thousands of people over the years. And whereas the Alexanders have served this community by being actively involved in many civic organizations and now celebrate 20 years as senior pastors and founders of the New Church Without Walls International. And whereas the Alexanders have recently had a park in Hernando renamed in their honor to the Alexander Family Park in Hernando. And whereas Bishop Alexander was named 2016 Citrus County Citizen of the Year, was named Best of the Best Pastor Clergy for 2020 and 2021. Lady T was named Altrusa Woman of the Year in Citrus County 2021. Bishop Alexander was recently nominated to the Florida Veterans of Hall of Fame. Now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of Citrus County, Florida is hereby recognized October 26, 2021 as Bishop Dr. Douglas Alexander Sr. and Lady T. Alexander Day in Citrus County, Florida. We call this observance to the attention of all our citizens, signed by all 5 county commissioners.
Well, first of all, we want to thank you, the Board of County Commission. You guys have, you contributed to us this year, and I just want to thank you for the job that you guys done. You guys stepped in during the pandemic, and, you guys awarded us $50,000 to feed Citrus County residents. There's thousands of people lined up out there every week, and you guys jumped in there. You did that with the CARES Act money, so I appreciate what you guys do. And I appreciate what you guys do for all us veterans and everything. I'm just glad to be here and also glad to be a Citrus County resident. So thank you guys very much, and thank you everybody for showing up here today. I even got Sam Himmer and Johnny Bishop and the mayor here. You know what I'm saying? Come on, you know. And I paid them all.
For those individuals representing first responders in Citrus County, come forward, please.
There we go, there we go.
Oh. We'll give you that mic. Come on, you get the mic. Come on. Come on in. Okay, you got hold right there. There you go. Perfect.
The Board of County Commissioners, the Board of County Commissioners of Citrus County, Florida, Proclamation First Responders in Citrus County. Whereas being essential to every American community, Citrus County first responders are committed to the preservation of life, property, and safeguarding the well-being of all citizens regardless of status or station in the community. And whereas Citrus County law enforcement officers are daily faced with challenges and critical decisions necessary to enforce the laws of the county and state in a fair and impartial manner regardless of ominous threat with due respect to the fundamental rights of individuals. And whereas the Citrus emergency medical technician confronted with life-threatening conditions and exposures relentlessly provide compassion and timely critical assistance to those in need. And whereas Citrus County firefighters undertake rapid and effective control of threats to life and limb resulting from dangerous dwelling, fires, hazardous materials, and extreme natures which threaten the well-being of many. Now therefore the Board of County Commissioners of Citrus County, Florida does hereby acknowledge our Citrus County first responders in view of their exemplary courage, compassion, and commitment. Signed by all 5 county commissioners.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity to be here to give thanks for that. And looking around the county, can you hear me back there? Okay, and looking around the county, there are a lot of monuments, and they're properly devoted to veterans and other good things. Maybe too many monuments because they're all over the place. Well, there was the absence of one monument which recognized the courage, the compassion, and the commitment of our first responders. And that's so obvious today. But it's overlooked sometimes in the world of hate that goes on now with the counter cultural things that are taking place, the shootings. There were 6,100 shootings of, and assaults on law enforcement officers in 1970. I mean, 2070, whatever the last year was. But me and the other guys are running for office. But anyway, thank you very much. With the old adage that managers try to do things right, but leaders do the right thing. And I thought the acceptance of the community for this was quite good. As a matter of fact, we came in over budget. But we've got a way to spend the rest of that budget on the morale and welfare functions of the fire department and the sheriff's department. And also the young Marines who will help clean up the monument areas that the county has not staffed out yet. But we'll take care of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, can I have a word? Okay. I'm Hank Butler. I'm the past commander, I think perpetual commander of the Korean War Veterans. Right now I'm the vice commander. But I had a real experience the 5th of September. I was hit in my brand new pickup truck by a red light runner. And before I got off with 911, we had the fire was already there. And then with just a few minutes, all 3 parts that we're talking about right now, they were right there and they were taking care of us, and they did an outstanding job. And I think these people continue to do a great job for our county. Thank you.
right, now we will go to D, open to the public. If you'd like to come up and speak to the board, please come forward. Make sure you fill your green card out. Please state your name, and you'll have 3 minutes. If you have a letter on file, you'll have 5 minutes. So come on up. Welcome.
Good afternoon. I have maps for each commissioner and staff.
Doug,
My name is
get those.
Harvey Gerber. I'm the president of Nature Coast Affordable Housing Corp. And I'm here to talk to you about a future swimming pool that I would like to see built for the people of Beverly Hills and for the Boys and Girls Club. The map that is coming your way was created back in July 16, 2020, when Commissioner Schleback was candidate Schleback. And we met over at the site of the Boys and Girls Club, which adjoins the skateboard park, Beverly Hills Community Park. And what I'd like to propose at this time is a sale by you and a purchase by Nature Coast Affordable Housing Corp. Of a small piece of land that you'll see on this drawing. The land, Commissioner Schleback at that time said was dead land, and what she meant by that was it's not used by anybody. The lawnmower man comes through, and that's it. It does not interfere with any other of the many functions in the park. She asked us if we could move our proposed location for this property to the north, which we did because there was a tree that she didn't want to see cut down because she's a tree preservationist, and that was a worthwhile reason to push this down. Nature Coast Affordable's been here since 2003. I got started working for the Boys and Girls Club in 2000 with a presentation by Ann Pope, who passed away this past year. She was a dedicated supporter of the Boys and Girls Club. She caught me at a right moment. I was in early retirement, and so I joined the committee to build a swimming, to fund a Boys and Girls Club in Beverly Hills. And Fred Clark, who's been around here about as long as I have, we're both long in the tooth. We were at the meeting the other night for the Boys and Girls Club at the Steak and Steak. Commissioner Schleback was there, but we couldn't talk because the music was too loud. But it was a very successful Steak and Steak fundraiser, 19th annual. And Fred was sitting next to me, and he picked this site because he said we have a park, and the county commission was kind enough years ago to reduce the buffer between the park and the building, so 13 feet, and the children are out the double doors every day and into that park. Now, Mr. Chairman, I can leave now. Am I an organization, or do I have just this?
You don't have a letter on file, so you have 3 minutes, so you.
So I'm-
I'll let you wrap it up.
Okay, then a quick wrap. We hope that you will meet with us. I did ask for a meeting with Commissioner Kennard yesterday, and I would like to meet with each and every one of you. Mike Belkin would be here right now. He's the president of the Civic Association. We see this swimming pool be used not only for the children of Beverly Hills, who right now only swim 2 days a month at the
All right, wrap it up.
at the pool over in Bicentennial Pool. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next
Chair,
speaker,
Chair,
welcome.
can I just say something? Or do you want me to
After.
wait? Okay.
Welcome.
Hello, my name is Cecilia Treat. I'm from Ozella, as you all know. I have 3 things to talk about. One, the Brazilian pepper. Please reinstate that pickup. The Park Authority has not been out to eradicate any Brazilian peppers there for a long time. So us as citizens there, we are doing that ourselves. We do need someone, place to put them, and where you had it before is great. So I encourage you to please reinstate that. Number 2, I don't understand the boat launch fee thing, so I would like somebody to explain to me, number 1, is Ozella boat ramp included in that? And number two, in the paper, it said that the fees were going to be used for repair, and will this fall under the Parks Authority? I don't quite understand it, so I'd like some explanation on that. And of course, you all know that I can never come here without talking about the purchase of Pirates Cove property. So that is what I'm here today. That's my main purpose, is to talk about, to encourage you to do that, and I will talk about that later. I also want to say, everybody comes here in a lot of complaints. I want to tell you that I had a wonderful experience with the EMTs. I had to call the EMT, the ambulance, to take me to the hospital last Monday. Those gentlemen came to Ozella in record time. They were professional, they were courteous, and they were so compassionate with me. And changing it over has made the biggest difference in the world, so I commend all of you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Harry, how are you?
I'm doing great, guys. Nice to see all of you again.
Be easy on us today.
Sir, again?
So be easy on us today.
Believe it or not, I'm going to be a nice guy today.
Oh, man. I'm
I
gonna write
know.
this down now.
My wife told me when I left the house, don't get into trouble. First, I got to tell you about Pastor Alexander. A couple of years ago, I was out of the country again, researching. My wife had a flat tire, and he pulled over and he changed my wife's tire for her. This guy is an awesome guy. And what he does with the food giveaways, just incredible that we got him here. And you were talking about first responders. I don't know about the other ones, but the sheriff, we got the best damn sheriff that this county has had in forever. And nobody can argue that we got an awesome governor. And I don't want to see him run for president. Stay right here in Florida, where you're doing everything right. I'm concerned a little about page 8, item 4, considering a half-cent tax increase. Anytime the BOC says they're considering something, means they've already decided, not to point fingers at you guys, but I remember when the 12-cent gas tax got pushed through under the BOCC headed by Joe Meek, they were going to consider it. We're still stuck with that 12-cent gas tax, aren't we? We don't even know where it's going. Now you're talking about a half-cent sales tax. Why? You guys are Republicans. I know you all from the REC. The people in D.C., like the useful idiot in the White House, they raise taxes. That's all those Democrats can do is tax and spend. You guys are Republicans. And it says right in your mission statement that, oh heck, you know what your mission statement says. You're looking out for us in the county. Getting into our wallet, I hesitate to use the phrase because you can't do your job right. You got the taxes you needed. We've had 6% tax for umpty-zillion years. I've lived here for 31 years. It's an awesome place to live. I wouldn't live anywhere else. Primarily, you know, my son has special needs, and he's a key client. He's got a great job over there, and they've just done magic with that guy. So look closely before you start raising taxes. True, there are more people coming into the county, so you have more demand. By the same token, these people are coming in, they're paying taxes too. You got to balance your budget at home. You got to balance your budget at home. Me, all these people, we have to balance our budget. Do the same for us, okay? So next time I come here, I can be nice again. And then you'll wonder if it's really me. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hope to see you at the next REC meeting.
Yes, sir.
How do you like that?
I mean, you had it scripted right down, didn't you?
I used to be a sportscaster in Chicago.
Is there any other speakers?
Thank you.
Any other speakers? Going once, twice? All right, we're going to go ahead and close the public portion. Commissioners, who wants to start? Commissioner Slayball?
Sure. First of all, did Harvey leave? Okay, because he used my name quite a bit, and thank you for that. But I was a citizen, and I was asking a lot of questions. I wasn't directing. So even though I might think that's a good idea, I was not acting as a commissioner, and I don't want y'all to think I was doing that. Cecilia, I appreciate everything you said. I hear you every time. I'll let you know today. And Harry, if that was nice, I don't want to see ugly. I don't know where Harry went, but anyway, that's all I've got. The one cent sales tax, can I bring that up? You know, that's my personal opinion. I know from collecting it for over 30 years across the state of Florida that it is a valuable tool. If the taxpayers and the voters don't believe it is, then that's their prerogative, but I believe it works, and evidently 66 other counties believe it works, so either we are the brightest of all the counties in the state of Florida, or we might be missing the boat.
Okay, Commissioner Kennard?
Yeah, let's see, I'm gonna start off with Pirates Cove. How about that one? We'll talk more about that later, but of course I favor buying Pirates Cove. I think it's a very, very rare opportunity, a unique opportunity for the county. Brazilian pepper eradication and pickup, that's on our agenda for today. And let's see, Harvey had selling property to nonprofit. Who's gonna build the pool? So I think Harvey, we will set up a meeting, but I'm just curious about who, if the county does go down this road, who's gonna build that. And Harry, we've got that'll be a discussion to be had about the sales tax. It's been tried before and unsuccessfully. I'm not sure that using it for road resurfacing gets us there. Anyway, so we will have that discussion at a later date.
Okay, Commissioner Davis?
I'm certainly willing to meet with Harvey. Cecilia, I'm glad wherever she went, I'm glad you're okay, and I'm glad you had a good experience with EMTs. I could swear, and this might be a question for Mr. Oliver, I could swear I just saw a press release come out on Brazilian pepper pickup in Ozello.
It's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda today.
Okay, then that's where I saw it. Sorry, 5 hours sleep. And as far as being a Republican goes, yes, balancing the budget, yes, eradicating waste, yes to all of that. But fiscal prudence also means maintaining our infrastructure, and we're not doing that right now. We're falling further and further behind on residential road resurfacing. So saw a great email response from Mr. Oliver today that he copied me on to one of the residents who emailed me, and he said, always happy to hear what services you'd like us to cut so we can put more money into roads. So the budget is really tight the way it is, so if you want to pay for less services to put it to roads, that's an option, or we're going to have to raise funds elsewhere. So that's all I got.
Commissioner Kitchen?
Well, let's see, where do I begin? Beverly Hills Pool, do I have to tell you what my opinion is of the Beverly Hills Pool? I'll just remind Mr. Gerber what he told me the last time I met with him. I don't need you, I have my 3 votes. That's what he told me. So we'll let that stand where it sits. Then also, let's see, Brazilian pepper is just on the agenda. Boat launch fees, I believe, is going to be about a better way we found of collecting it, which I was happy to see. Pirates Cove, I said in my position last time, I'm deeply, deeply disappointed about the item that's on the agenda today. I'm sure we'll discuss it more at that time, but here we are talking about needing to tax the people more for something we're supposed to be doing, and we're going to find $700,000 to go out and buy something we don't need, which, if you read all the stuff in the Chronicle, it's going to be underwater in a few years anyway, right? So, and with that said, I just want to, Mr. Cooper, to let him say, we don't know where the gas tax money is going. We know exactly where the gas tax money is going. So just so we're clear on that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, I meant to say that.
And again, I think I don't need to be meeting about a pool in Beverly Hills. I don't support that, not going to support it. So I'm good there. When it comes to Brazilian peppers, that's on today. Purchase a piece of property. I have to agree 100% with Commissioner Kitchen. We voted to get an appraisal, and I'll go ahead and state my facts now. We voted to get an appraisal on a piece of property. And we both said, we're not spending taxpayers' money to buy this piece of property. I can tell you now, my phone has lit up today, and it has lit up since it come out in the paper from my constituents in my district that said absolutely 100% no way. Do not spend my money on something across the county. So I will not support it. And again, I agree totally with what Harry said. I'm not raising sales tax, okay? No way I won't support it either, because it's first and foremost, it's a 2-year campaign. If you go look at the other counties that have passed this, they've embarked on a 2-year campaign, and they've gotten out there and they've educated the people, okay? We're almost a year away from an election, and it's going to fail, okay? It's going to fail. And again, when we're spending money to buy pieces of property and to do things that we shouldn't be doing, that money could be going to road resurfacing, and we could be up to $5 or $6 million now. So again, my position is, with Commissioner Kitchen, absolutely 100% no, why I spend taxpayers' money to buy that piece of property. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and go to our 1:30 hearing.
Yes, 1:30 hearing is, by the way, the Brazilian pepper issue was on the consent agenda.
Right.
H1A, conduct a public hearing to consider application PV 2104, Clark A. Stillwell, for Kevin and Angela Schaefer. And then, if approved, authorize the chairman to execute the resolution approving PV 2104 and direct the clerk to record the resolution.
And Commissioners, you have extra items on this. This one has been changed to a set for hearing. We're going to be setting this for hearing on November 30th. So we're not going to hear that particular item today. We're just setting it for hearing in November. That's H1.
Okay.
So you're just looking for a motion to
I
set
guess
the
we're gonna go
public
ahead
hearing?
and. So do we need to have a public hearing?
No, sir, we're
I don't think
asking
so.
that you, set a public hearing
Okay.
and, yes, just
Yeah, set a
A.
public hearing, okay. All right, commissioners. We're looking for a motion to set a public hearing.
Make a motion that we set a public hearing on November 30th, 2021, at 2 p.m., 2:01.
All right, we got a motion? Second. Got a second by Commissioner Kennard. Is there any public comments? Any public comments? Seeing commissioners, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. All right, 135.
Yes, 135, it's conduct a public hearing to consider application SV 2102, Gerald Suringer, Acme Storage LLC. B, if approved, authorize the chairman to execute the resolution approving SV 2102 and direct the clerk to record the resolution.
Okay. With that, Ms. Katu, you got, you want to go ahead and open it up?
Yeah, that's fine. I know you got a lot on your agenda today. So this is to vacate a portion of West International Court lying west of US 19. Sorry, I'm clicking and not clicking. All right, this is an aerial view from Google Maps, and the reason I grabbed this is I thought it was a very good idea to show what's happening here. You can see the roadway. It leads to conservation lands to the west, and that's it. The applicant owns the lands on either side of the road itself. This is what it looks like in practicality. It really doesn't appear to be a road. It looks like a drive between the applicant's two properties. And it leads to, this is still roadway, but it's a pile of dirt, and then the conservation land to the west. So you can see that the commission, the Planning and Development Commission did hear this application on September 2nd and recommended approval. Utility companies have had no objections, and staff is recommending approval.
Okay, commissioners, any questions? Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and open it up to the public hearing. Is there anybody here to speak for or against? Anybody here to speak for or against? Going once, twice? Okay, we're going to go ahead and close the public portion. Commissioners?
Mr. Chair. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Go ahead, Commissioner Kitchen.
No, you'll let you make the call, okay. I'd like to make a motion that we approve and authorize the chairman to execute the resolution approving SV 21-02 and direct the clerk to record the resolution.
Okay, we've got a motion by Commissioner Kitchen, second by Commissioner Kennard. Commissioners, any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. H3.
We have to do E1 first.
What's that?
We have to, this is the one we have to do E1 before we do.
Randy, I thought we had to do.
No, I believe you're, that's incorrect. We have to do this public hearing, as I
Correct.
understand it, first.
And then do E, I'm
That's
sorry,
right.
I had them backwards. I apologize.
Yes, and I'll explain why when we get to the E1
I'll
item.
tell you.
It's
All right.
conduct a public hearing on an ordinance of Citrus County, Florida, revising the administrative and enforcement provisions of the county's boat launch ordinance, providing for severability, providing for inclusion into the code, providing for modification that may arise from consideration of public hearing, provide for repeal of inconsistent provisions, providing for an effective date. B, if approved, adopt and authorize the chairman to execute the ordinance. What this does is, before the county was going to be the enforcer of this particular ordinance, what we have negotiated is a deal with a company to collect these fees, and the county's not involved, so we don't have any administrative costs. It's going to work like SunPass effectively, which I think is better. When we get to that portion, it's an 80-20 split, but as I say, we don't have any labor involved in it. They're going to set up cameras, they're going to take license plate numbers, and they will, if somebody doesn't pay, they will prosecute that and payment, and they get 20% of what they collect, so that becomes somewhat of an incentive. But in order to do that, the current ordinance required us to be the ones that wrote the citations. This changes that. You have anything you'd like to add to that, Ms. Lynn?
No, sir.
Okay.
I have a question, Mr. Chair. Okay. Great idea. I read the backup on this. It also, as I recall, said that, that this, if we do this change and do this ordinance, that they're also going to be able to sell the passes, the annual passes, through this agency as well?
That's
Okay.
correct.
Would that also be the same 80-20 split for the
That's
annual
correct.
passes as well?
Mhm.
So it's not just for the fines, it's for whatever they collect from?
That's correct.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Okay,
Mr. Chair.
Commissioners, any other questions?
I do have a question.
Okay.
This is more of a future question, but it is something I am curious about. Now, I don't have a boat, but if I wanted to go to that area, am I are you paying for parking fees or boat ramp fees?
Boat ramp fees.
So I could just go and park in that area and not pay for parking?
My understanding is what the vendor's proposing is to install cameras at the ramp, and they're going to read it like the SunPass system.
Okay, because that might be something that comes up.
It's definitely not a parking.
Okay.
We don't have enough parking to support the boat ramps is the issue.
Right.
Okay, Commissioners, any other questions? With that, I'm going to go ahead and open up to a public hearing. Anybody here to speak for or against?
May I read?
And real quick, because I know she wanted a question answered, the Ozella boat ramp will not be involved in this fee, correct?
I will defer to somebody who knows more than I do. Francine?
It's
No,
not,
it
I didn't
won't.
think so. I think there's only a certain, but the
Right.
Ozella,
The
as
or-
of right now, the Ozella boat ramp is not
The
involved.
ordinance provides that you all can add additional boat ramps in the
Correct.
future, but initially, there are only certain boat ramps
Correct.
at
That's
the
right.
higher traffic volume boat ramps.
Yes, Ms. Lynn?
May I read the title of the ordinance?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. At the conclusion of this hearing, you're going to be asked to consider an ordinance of Citrus County, Florida, revising the administrative and enforcement provisions of the county's boat launch ordinance, providing for severability, providing for inclusion into the code, providing for modifications that may arise from consideration at public hearing, providing for repeal of inconsistent provisions, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. All right, with that, we'll open up the public hearing. Is there anybody to speak for or against? It's for the boat launch fees. So if you'd like to come speak, the podium is open. Welcome. Come on in. Yes, sir.
I know it's already passed.
Go ahead and state your name for the
My name is Terry Sullivan, and I
Yes, sir.
live in Florida City. I know it's already passed, but in the beginning, this was a parking issue, and now it's a launch issue. And the problem was the parking. Yep. And the problem was overflow parking on the roadways and not enough parking in general. And I've come to as many of these meetings as I can. This boater, I call it a tax, y'all call it a fee. And will generate revenue for the county, 80% for y'all, 20% for the company, sounds like, from what you said today. And unfairly tax boaters with trailers. Anybody else can go there and park and take up as many parking spaces as they want. And one question I have, what about boaters? You're paying a fee, but other people have taken up parking spaces. You have no place to park on a busy weekend or whatever. As discussed at other meetings, I hope if you have other boat trailers, like some people own several boats, that it's covered under the one fee and not under several fees. In other words, so that you're not taxed on each boat. There's one fee for, like, if you have two boats or whatever for each boat, you're only paying the one fee. And right now, as I understand it, there's only 4 boat ramps that will charge to launch. But in time, I don't believe that'll be the case. I think all county boat ramps will eventually be brought under this for the revenue, if nothing else. At an earlier meeting, the board indicated this was only the beginning. And so I look for fees to go up. I look for whatever, more boat ramps. So I hope boaters enjoy paying for everybody else's parking, is what it amounts to. My boat ramp that I use right now is not even covered under this. It will soon, I'm sure, but I will request that you reconsider this, and it's a parking issue is the way I've always looked at it, and that's the reason I keep coming to these meetings. I don't think it's a boat launch issue. The boat launch ramps were already paid for by the state and all, so. But anyway, I'm sure it'll raise quite a bit of money. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else to speak for or against? Anybody else to speak for or against? Seeing none, I'm gonna go ahead and close the public portion, commissioners.
Oh, you want me to?
Well, we need to discuss or make a motion.
I just, I appreciate what you're saying. I have some of the same questions, but one, it is a fee, it's not a tax, because I don't own a boat, so I'm not gonna be paying that fee, and I'm not gonna be paying that tax. But I do think that we are gonna have to address that if somebody launches a boat and pays, that they better have a parking spot. And I also think that residents, a $25 fee for a boat ramp fee for a whole year could help enhance the boat ramps, enhance the parking, and give you, as a boater, some niceties that you are not getting now, and that we also have to make sure that what is entailed in cleaning up visitors coming and not paying anything, we as taxpayers are paying for visitors to come and clean up and do things like that. So, so it's not an easy fix, but it's definitely a start.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Kennard?
Yeah, I completely understand his point, but expanding these facilities or looking for opportunities for new facilities costs money. And as it stands right now, we do not have a revenue source. The only way that we're able to potentially expand the parking, the facilities at our boat ramps, is with a revenue stream.
Commissioner Kitchen?
Yes, sir. Let's just be clear, we've already passed it. The boat ramp fee is in place. This is modifying how we're gonna collect it, which I'm much more comfortable with, and I think it has a much better chance of success under this method than it previously did. And some of the things that the speaker said, I believe is true. We already said out front, if it works, we're gonna expand it. There's no secret to that. But it's not about raising revenue for the commissioner's jacuzzi account. Okay, it's about raising money to deal with the boat ramps. And maybe they were already paid for in different methods or whatever, but that doesn't include the ongoing maintenance, which they all care. So we've already been down this road. I think it's just important to put out there that most every fishing organization that's come before us has been in favor of this. The TDC fully supports it. And again, $25 for, is it even $25 for the county? I mean, is that what it ended up being? I thought it was even less if you were a veteran or over 65, 25, is that what it is? $25 to launch your boat all year long. You can't do that at any of the private ramps. I mean, they charge you no matter what. So, and again, you know, if anything, you could go the other way and you say, well, the county's kind of in And this was one of the things that I was worried about in the beginning, is the county is kind of in competition with the private people who own boat ramps to charge people to use them. But as we know, there's not enough to go around, and the ones that we have are about the only ones we're going to get. So I'm just reiterating this for the people that haven't been in the conversation. We've 2-3 years, Commissioner Kennard, we've been going back and forth with this. So, I'm definitely in favor of it. And Mr. Chair, I guess we can continue to discuss it, but I'd like to make a motion that we approve, adopt, and authorize the chairman to execute the ordinance.
Got a motion by Commissioner Kitchen,
Second.
second by Commissioner Kennard. Commissioners, any other comments? Ms. Davis, any comments? Commissioner Davis?
No,
Okay.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay, all right, with that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, if we can, we'll drive back and pick up E1C.
Right. Well, we can do either, you want to do E1C, or you want to do them and get a motion?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we can now do them all
Right,
together.
all
You're
right.
correct.
All right, E1.
Sorry.
E1. Commissioners, you want to take them individually or as a whole?
Motion to approve item E1, A through F.
Okay, got a motion by Commissioner Kennard.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Is there any public comments? Any public comments on E1, A through F?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I know this is not the consent agenda, and I'm all in favor of it, but I think if we're going to spend this kind of money, we might want to discuss F, just so the public is aware of it.
Okay.
Again, I'm in favor of it, I'm going to vote in favor of it, but I think it's important the public knows about that, because sometimes we have information they don't.
All right,
It
so
deals with so maybe you can get Mr. Oliver.
Right, so, Mr. Oliver, can you give us a rundown on F, please?
Yes, F has to do with the purchase of 3 ambulances. As we all know, the fleet that we got from Nature Coast, there were a couple of new units, but the majority of them were outdated and had a number of miles on it. In our schedules, we proposed to buy 3 ambulances. It will take roughly a year to get those 3 ambulances based on current production schedules. So we would ask for approval for those.
And also in the backup, it looks like to me a couple of them will be 4-wheel drives, correct?
Yes.
And I think that's a good idea with some of the road situations we have in our county, so I think that's a good idea. Commissioner, so anyway, any public comments? So we're still on public comment. Any public comments? Seeing none, we'll close that portion. Commissioners, any other comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to, I thought that was important for the public to be aware of that, and that, especially, I'm glad you brought up about the 4-wheel
Yep,
drives. So
yep.
thank you.
So now we won't have, be able to cover everything. All right, so with that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. E2.
Yes, A, approved budget transfers for Park and Recreation for fiscal year 2021. B, approved budget transfer for utilities for 21-22.
Okay. Commissioners.
Move approval of E2, A, and B.
Motion by Commissioner Davis.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kennard. Is there any public comments on E2? Any public comments on E2? Seeing none, we'll close that. Commissioners, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
E3, adopt and authorize the chairman to execute a resolution amending State Housing Initiative's partnership grant budget for fiscal year 21-22.
Okay.
Move approval of E3.
Okay. Commissioner Davis, motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kennard. Is there any public comment on E3? Public comments on E3? Seeing none, we'll close that. Commissioners, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
E4, let me just give you a little bit of background. The impact fee ordinance permits for transportation impact fees to be, upon request and approval by the board, they can be transferred between impact fee districts. Please note that impact fees can only be used for the benefit within the district of which they're provided. So if you have a road that goes through a district to another district, it provides capacity. What Hampton Hills is asking for is A, consider a request for transfer of transportation impact fee credits from District A to District B and D, transferring credits from Regions Bank / American South Bank to Hampton Hills LLC. And B, if approved, direct the clerk to accept the assignment of transportation impact fee credits of $162,286.25.
Okay.
Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I ask that we approve E4, consider the transfer of transportation impact fees, and if approved, that the clerk
All right, we
would
got a motion by
record
Commissioner Slayball.
A and B.
A and B.
A and B.
Motion by Commissioner Slayball.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kennard. Is there any public comments? How are you, sir?
Good.
They sent you to do the work, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Stephen Hallett, authorized agent for Regions Bank for this limited matter, as well as for Hampton Hills General Counsel and Secretary. I'm here if there's any questions. If not, I can take my seat.
All right. I think we're good.
I do have a question.
Well, you got to make your comments, and then once you sit, then I'll let her ask questions.
This request is not something that's unprecedented for Hampton Hills. We've done this in the past at least 8 to 10 times. This will allow us to remain competitive with other communities throughout the state, specifically Sumter County, Marion County, Lake County, Pinellas, and that's why we're asking for this transfer.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that wants to speak for or against? All right, with that, we'll close the public portion. Commissioner Slayball?
I just remember that this used to be done, and it might have even been Gary Madoff, but now it's coming before the commission. Was something changed historically?
Always done this.
Mr. Chair, I think only the commissioners can make
Correct.
the decision for transfer between, is that correct? Is that
I
my-
believe that'd be correct. Denise, do you know?
Yes.
That's what I thought. That's why it has to come before us.
Okay, thank you.
With that, any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
E5, approve and authorize chairman to execute a contract with the State of Florida Department of Health for operation of the Citrus County Health Department. Contract year October 1st, 21 through September 30, 22. It is a budgeted item.
Okay. Commissioners?
Motion approved.
Motion by Commissioner
Second.
Kennard, second by Commissioner Slayball. Is there any public comments on E5? Any public comments on E5? Seeing none, Commissioners, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. E6?
Yes, E6 is the seventh modification to the memorandum of understanding with Veterans Village. This started shortly after I arrived in Citrus County, and they have not yet landed their financing yet, but they have kept telling us that they're close to doing that. Hopefully that's going to happen. You will note that I added an item to the end of the agenda. They wanted an updated letter of support for this project that they could send to their prospective lender or lenders. A is approve and authorize the chairman to execute the seventh modification to the amendment of understanding with Veterans Village of Citrus County, a Florida nonprofit corporation, to allow the village additional time to obtain financing for the project. And B is authorize the clerk of court to record same in the public records of Citrus County.
I'm going to jump out here real quick. I don't have a problem, but this is the 7th year in a row that we've been doing this. And, we had a meeting today, this morning, a workshop on lands and getting rid of them. Again, this is the 7th time, and we're still in the same position we have been. I mean, I agree with the Veterans Village and things like that, but, I mean, by God, I don't understand why we can't get financing after 7 years. I don't understand here.
We don't have anything to do with the financing. They're arranging that on their own.
Again, anyway, that's my comments. This is the 7th time. I do agree with the concept, but I mean, how we're going to do is keep doing this 8, 9, 10 times, years down the road. So that's my comments.
I have a question, Chair.
Okay, Commissioner.
By doing this and extending it each time, which, by the way, I think this is a great idea, but when we extend it, are we stopping another investor coming in and doing the very same thing?
Yes.
Aye.
There you go.
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Kitchen.
Yes, that's why we did the memorandum of understanding. And my understanding, again, we're going clear back to 2015, so we're going to have to dig pretty deep in here, but, and it's pretty shallow to begin with, so as I go down. But was it not that we were considering selling this land, and this is when the group stepped up and said, hey, let us have first shot at to do this, and we said, okay, but you need to do this, this, and this. Now, they've been working at it diligently, but I believe, I understand what the chairman is saying, and that is, it's a great idea, but at what point in time does we say, okay, you tried, you couldn't do it, should we put it back out on the market? I guess that's, is there an end, or do we just say indefinitely until they find some money, or they come to us and say, we give up? I guess that's kind of where we've been up to now.
Well, you're correct in that at that particular time, Black Diamond was interested in the property to put their maintenance facility down there, and they were willing to pay cash for it at the time. And the board decided that the best use of this was for this particular project, and that's why we entered into the agreement.
So I guess, Mr. Shedd, my question would be, we still like the concept that they came up with. The real question really has to start being, will it ever happen? You know, I mean, I guess that's.
We're 7 years into it. That's my
Yeah.
question at this point. We're 7 years into it, and it continue. And when you sign this, again, you wrap it up for a year. And if I'm not mistaken, we had a pretty good consensus this morning on let's pump the brakes here, and let's look at whether we're going to put these pieces of property on for sale. But I'm not going to vote for it because it's the 7th year. Do I agree with the concept? 100% agree with it. I think it's a great idea. But again, we're 7 years into it now, and it's just another, let's extend it again, and let's extend it again. And to me, if you can't get, you should be able to get financing by this time. So, Commissioner Davis?
I would say if we're all in agreement that, in which I am, that it's a really good concept. I mean, we have over 13% of our residents are veterans, and we love our veterans in this county, but we also talked about when we're cutting nonprofits loose and selling property that we're not going to pull the rug out from underneath them. I think we sign it this time, but we tell the organization, Dr. Desai, that we need to get this moving, that this is not a forever thing.
Tell them that this is the last time?
Well,
Unless
just
they have
warn them
something
that
tangible.
that's the temperature of the board today, and it will probably get worse in a year.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I would have to say I agree for everything Commissioner Davis said, and I also agree with what you're saying. I think this would tell them, I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with saying this is it. This is the last time. So either something has to happen this year, or at the end of this year, we'll put it back up on the market or whatever, so.
Anybody, any other comments?
Commissioner Davis, Commissioner Kitchen, I agree.
So again,
I agree. This is it.
I'm sorry.
This is it.
I'll make the motion that we go ahead and make a motion to sign it, and also notify them that this is it.
Okay.
They can either secure the financing or it's going back to the market, so.
Can I ask you one question? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yes, ma'am.
Does it have to be for 1 year?
No, I don't think this is for 1 year. I don't remember the date. Do you remember, Randy, off the top of your head? This version of the agenda I have doesn't have the indexes on it.
Well, it seems like we do this at this time about every year.
I kind of think it's, can you look up? I think it's June 30.
I'm getting there.
All right, okay.
This last one was,
June,
March 26th?
June
it says March
30th,
26th.
2020. I apologize.
No, go ahead. If you get the dates, fire away.
Madam
June
Attorney.
30th, 2022.
So they've got roughly 9 months.
I'm fine with that. So anyway, we will sign a letter of support, but it will end, that will be it on June 30th of 2022.
We will take care of it.
Okay. All right, so I made a motion.
Second.
Chair, can I get clarification of that motion? Now,
Motion is to support the Veterans Villains, but it will end on June 30th of 2022, and it will go back to on the market.
okay, and on item B, it requested to record that item? So
Correct.
that's A and B?
A and B, correct.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. All right, so we got a motion by Commissioner Carnahan, second by Commissioner Kitchen. Is there any public comments? Any public comments? Seeing none, Commissioners, any other comments? All those in
Mr. Chair.
favor? Oh, I'm sorry.
Quick question. So we've set a deadline. What do we want to see from them between now and June 30th?
What the agreement calls for is a financing commitment,
Okay,
an approved financing commitment from a recognized lender.
okay.
I mean,
So
that's pretty
they
simple.
don't have to be breaking ground out there and
No.
all that? Okay,
Just let us know they're gonna get some financing for it, you know?
okay.
Commissioner Slabaugh?
And I've read all the documentation, and I know that it was a memorandum of understanding, but I didn't see where it said that nobody else could come in. Am I missing something? Nobody else could do this?
Well, basically, the rest of, you're only getting the modification.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe you're only focused on the modification, but it basically, if we're telling them they have a year to get their financing in place, we can't very well go out from under them and give it to somebody else while we're giving them a year to get
Well,
their.
I understand, I understand with that property, but it doesn't stop somebody else coming into the county
Oh.
That's what I was asking.
No, somebody else.
Oh,
can
yeah,
come in.
this is only for
On
this
a different
property.
piece of property, they can
That's
come in
what I
and
was
do whatever they
asking.
want. That's a
Okay,
private sector
okay.
endeavor.
Okay.
All right, so with that, Commissioners, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
E7, approve and authorize the chairman to execute the National Caucus and Center on Black Aging, Inc. Senior Community Service Employment Program Host Agency Application and Worker Request Form, Letter of Commitments and Memo. B, approve and authorize and approve the delegation of signature authority form for the required reporting forms.
Okay. Commissioners?
Chair, I move to approve E7,
Okay,
A
got-
and B.
Okay, a motion by Commissioner Slayball. Second. Second by Commissioner Kennard. Is there any public comments on E7? Any public comments on E7? Seeing those, Commissioners, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. We'll get Commissioner Davis when she comes back. E8?
Yes, E8 is the takeover agreement for the bonding company for DAB. They're taking over that particular project. I understand that they've gotten bids and they will take care of awarding that contract. But we need to get the takeover agreement approved, which formally assigns this contract to them with certain provisions
Okay.
in it. Approve and authorize chairman to execute takeover agreement ITB 21021 residential resurfacing.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Kitchen.
move approval of item E8.
Motion by Commissioner Kitchen.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kennard. Is there any public comments on E8? E8. Seeing none, we'll close the public. Commissioners?
A further question,
Okay,
not-
Commissioner Kitchen.
kind of related. Okay, so this is last year's. October 1st has come and gone. How many roads have we resurfaced in this fiscal year?
I think that contract was just awarded, wasn't it? Okay, what's the schedule on that, Randy? Would you give them that?
All right, while we're waiting, Commissioner Davis, your motion on E7?
Aye.
Okay, we got a 5-0 then on E7. Welcome.
We're preparing that contract right now to go out to bid.
Okay, Mr. Chair, not to pick on staff, but this is a short. We just heard Ken Sheet get up here today and said, if you knew how much money I was gonna get every year, I could sit down and design the program. Well, you're getting $3 million a year. You have a listing of the county roads. I do not understand. My frustration continues to be on October 2nd, how come we haven't sent the bid out, hired somebody and have the roads being put down? Because we know, all we do is if we find more money, we just add to it, and we typically use the same contractor and do an addendum. So I don't understand why we're multiple months into the next fiscal year before we start the road resurfacing. And I'm not picking on
Yeah,
Mr. Oliver's staff, I'm just, that's my question. Why is it not happening?
Again, I mean, and I understand what you're saying. To me, this contract should be let in 1st of October or something, or so come the 31st, come November 1st, they can start paving if they wanted to. So anyway, does anybody have an answer to that? Commissioners?
We will improve and get better.
Well, and again, see, I can understand, Mr. Chair, if the commissioners hadn't decided how much money they're gonna spend, and if we have the money to spend or not, and if we had to go out and rate the roads, but we have the road ratings, and we told you how much money's in the budget. So, it's kind of like the ball's in your court, and I can't see what you would turn around and say, well, we haven't done it because you haven't given us the money, or you haven't told us what roads to do, and we've done that. So as far as I'm concerned, it would take a pretty healthy excuse to tell me why you're not spending the money that we already approved on the projects we already approved. So, no, you got a lot going on, but the big buzzword is roads and residential road resurfacing. So, I'm just gonna continue every October 1st, I'm gonna say, have we issued the contract yet for the roads? Well, at least for one
And I
month.
agree. I think we should be issuing the contract in October. So come November 1st, we can move forward with it. Commissioner?
Is there something we can do to help facilitate this? Is there something standing in your way that you're not communicating with us? I don't want to put it all on you, but is there some kind of roadblock that you're?
No, ma'am,
Okay.
we'll do better next time.
Good deal.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Commissioners, any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. E9.
Yes, if we may take E9 and 10 together.
That's right, yep.
Kaylee's Coats, this is a lease agreement for a stand that they have that provides life jackets to people that need them. at Hernando Beach, Fort Island Trail. We would ask for approval of A and B, and it's for the period of November 1st, 2021 through October 31st, 2022.
And Randy, go ahead, because we had this conversation this morning. Explain what this lease is, since we had our workshop.
All it
this
is basically a pole for a stand for life
Right,
jackets.
so that's, but I just wanted to, because like I said, we had the workshop this morning. We definitely want to have residents coming in saying we're on the take. So again, this is nothing but for a pole so they can distribute life jackets to children, so there's not any drownings and it's safe out there. So,
I
all
met
right,
Kayla's mom.
great people.
Yeah, really good,
Yes, yes.
good
and-
cause.
Absolutely.
Do you want a motion
Yep.
for 9 and 10, or
Yes,
just
yep,
9?
9 and 10, yes, ma'am.
Move approval of E9, A and B, and E10, A and B.
All right, we got a motion from
Second.
Commissioner Davis, a second by Commissioner Slayball.
Chair, is that A, B, and C because the additional information
A,
added?
B, and C, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
We're good. See, she keeps it straight. All right, with that, is there any public comments?
What will we do without A, B?
Any public comments? Seeing none, commissioners, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0 on E9 and 10. E11, we've already, yeah, E11, we gotta do that.
Mr. Chair, my understanding is E11 is just approval of the
Right.
proposal that was presented to us at
Correct.
the workshop today. So I would like to
Yes.
make a motion to approve and adopt the wastewater treatment feasibility analysis.
Motion by Commissioner Kitchen.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Is there any public comments? Any public comments? Seeing none, commissioners, all those in favor?
I have a question.
Oh, okay, Commissioner Davis, Commissioner Slayball.
Okay, you guys are so fast, and I appreciate that.
Would
Get
you like to
there.
move?
Thank you. The only question I have is that it's kind of redundant, but, this means that any quarter-acre lots as of this passing are going to have to get a septic tank, and we don't know, they're gonna have to get a septic tank.
Well-
Anything quarter-acre,
Sewer, you mean? no?
I'll let
Septic.
Mr. Cheek explain it. As I understand it, the health department rules prohibit septic tanks on certain size lots.
That's
So I'll ask Mr. Cheek for clarification on that.
and what I mean by septic tank is the up-to-date standards of the most expensive septic
You missed that
tank.
this morning, didn't you?
Maybe. It's possible. I got a lot going on.
So the action that you're taking on this doesn't have anything to do to that? That's basically a state statute. My
Yes.
understanding is lots less than 1 acre in size would have to have the upgraded type of septic system. And that's the state statute. That really,
Nothing.
we're not changing the state statute by this action. This is just approving the plan that we talked about this morning for moving forward with sewer projects.
Yes, I just wanted to kind of put that out there for the public to understand that now we're gonna be following suit of what's required anyway.
Right. And the health department, as the county administrator said, governs
Yeah, they would-
the permitting for those types of systems. But my understanding from the statute is that it's, the magic number is an acre. So if you're larger than an acre, you can still have a conventional septic system. Smaller than that, you have to have the upgraded system.
I just thought that if it was a little foggy for me, that maybe the public should know that too, so thank you.
Sure.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. F, outstanding items.
Yes, for items 9, 11, 12, and 13 to be removed.
Okay, and with that, Randy, I know, because I did talk to you and Ms. Katu. I met with the Builder Association yesterday, and there was a little bit of a disagreement on the,
They want a title change to one of
Yeah,
the
so-
sections, which we'll do the next time. It
So-
isn't gonna
so all-
change
all-
anything.
I'm just putting it out in public. Excuse me? Go ahead, madam. They just want the wording accessible dwelling unit. So anyway, it was taken care of, but they made it an issue to me yesterday. I spoke to Ms. Katu, I spoke to Mr. Oliver. So at the next, the next change, they'll just change the wording, so it will be taken care of. So Gaston, if you're watching, I addressed it, and it will be taken care of. All right.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to know what the status is of the Fort Island Trail multipurpose path that we gave direction back in the spring to do a design build or go out for a design build. And I just want an update on where we're at with that.
Last I heard that those specifications were written and that they were they were in purchasing for distribution. Have they been issued yet, Randy?
You're getting caught on the spot today.
Yes, we've drafted the bid and gave it to O and B, and I don't know where they're at with them.
We'll check on that, if you can check on that, Colleen.
You know, Mr. Chair?
You're good. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, we have a great staff, and I don't want to pick on them. But the one thing that our staff should know, because they come and sit and listen to these meetings, they should know what's important to us. And they should know when we say, we're allocating money every year to build this thing. And they should know that when there's $700,000 sitting in there now from the TDC, and we keep getting, well, we'll get around to it. Oh, we don't know where it is, or whatever. I just have to say, I find that unacceptable. You know, to me, if it was like, gee, we want to do this, but we, you know, relax, find something else to do while we go look for the money. Well, we've identified the money. We've identified the priority of the project. I just find it very, very frustrating to have to say what's going on, you know, and so that's why we put it on the list. You know, the date on here says 8/24, does it not? 8/24 anticipated completion date. So that was a while ago. So again, I would think we might need to put a new box on here that says if the promised, I'd like to say promised completion date, and if that's not met, I'd like to see the reason that the promised completion date wasn't met. Because as Commissioner Slaybaugh said, if it's our fault, tell us. You know, we'll move the roadblocks. We'll do what we have to do. If you're too busy, tell us. You know, tell us what's in front of it that's busier, and then we can decide if we want you to move it around or whatever. But you know, I know there's multiple things that are happening. I know there's lots of issues going on at one time, but we have to get to a point where we're actually getting, you know, A done, B done, and C done, so we can
I
move
think
along.
Colleen
Okay,
has an answer.
I would like to, you said let you know, so I'll let you know.
Okay.
All purchasing, anytime anybody spends any money, it has to go through the purchasing department and the legal department. So yes, everything from Public Works, from this, pardon me?
I'm just kidding you.
Okay.
When you're holding it up. I'm just teasing you. Go
I
ahead.
take full responsibility. You have myself and Beth. Beth reviews every contract before. You have two people in the purchasing department. I think they were authorized to hire another person, and I'm authorized to hire another person. In 15 days, we took over EMS. In 2 or 3 days, we had 4, maybe 5 contracts that were taken from start to finish, which is unprecedented, all in the mix of trying to do all the other things that y'all had already slated us to do. So please be mindful of the fact that everybody in purchasing and in my office worked extremely hard during 15 days, barely took any time, and still tried to do everything else we're supposed to do. So yes, it has been a rough couple months.
And the new purchasing position has been filled, by the way.
Great, and with all due respect, that's for the last 15 days. This has been going on for a year, okay? I know it was last year that the TDC has put the money out there, and I know it's been almost a year since we gave the direction to happen. So with all that said, I understand that. Our staff did stellar work in taking over EMS and doing all that. And again, nothing but compliments for that. But I have to go back and say, so what happened last year? Why are we still have things in front of us from last year? So I'm not going to get into, I guess all I'm saying is I don't want to have this discussion again. I don't want to bring it up every time something's on the agenda that said, we said this is important and it hasn't happened, okay? If I said, we asked you to do this 2 weeks ago and you didn't do it, then I'd say, hey, it's been too busy and whatever. But I guess that's just the frustration. I'd just like to have an answer for when.
Okay, what we'll do is
you know.
we'll set everything else aside, move these two to the front, and they'll be on before next.
All right,
board
Commissioner
meeting.
Kennard.
Mr. Chair and fellow board members, this is now the third director or head of a department that has told me that that they have got more work than they have staff to handle it. If those messages are not making it through whatever barriers they need to make it through to get to us, then something needs to change. We need to hear about it. I have, with Ms. Lynn's comments here today, that's number 3 who's told me we do not have the staff to handle the workload that's on our desk. That's surprising for me to hear in a private conversation. That needs to be getting relayed to us so that we, when it's budget time, we can add to those budgets as need be. I'm not in favor of growing government, but our county's growing up and these departments need to grow up. If these folks do not have the staff to handle the workload that we and the county administrator are dumping on them, then that needs to change. It's up to us to fund them to be able to hire the staff they need to be able to do these things. The last thing that I want to hear our county administrator say is we're going to throw everything else off the table and move these 2 projects to the front. Well, those things are important too, or they wouldn't be on the list. Why don't we bring forward, these are the people that we need in these departments to be able to handle those things. So I think it's incumbent on the county administrator, and I know those plates have been very full these last 2 weeks. I think it's incumbent on the county administrator between now and the next budget discussion that seems like it'll start next week to get with these department heads and have a real frank discussion about what they need to handle the growth that's happening in our county right now and what's going to be happening in our county over these next 3, 4, 5 years.
That's why we added the 2 positions in the budget.
I just gotta hire them now.
We have
that's
hired
my-
the purchasing
I've
person.
seen it.
What?
So I know it's posted, I've seen it.
And it's funny because there's another legal, actually 2. I talked to the state attorney's office and another private entity are so short lawyers. I don't know where all the lawyers are, but we're working hard. And I appreciate you guys giving us the position.
Okay, Commissioner Slayball?
I was gonna suggest, because that's what I was trying to get at with Randall is, he took it like, he took it like a professional, like, I'm sorry, this won't happen again. But if it's being held up because of another department, that's not really fair to our directors to kind of, have to say, I'm sorry, I'll do better next time. And that's what I was trying to get at. So I would like to see maybe a column of what department this is at. And that would be easy enough to say, okay, it's in legal, or it's in, at budget, or it's wherever. And that might help us to know, instead of, I feel like I'm begging for information. And on the second part, obviously, we need to hire people. We need an assistant administrator. And we had applications, but you were so busy that the applications sat there for 60 to 90 days before they were even approached. Well, the good people are gone by 90 days. So we have to do something to get you guys help, and then we can get some things done, because this is moving at a snail's pace.
We interviewed 6 people, so you know, senior staff and myself. None of those 6 met the standards that we felt were best for the organization. And so it was decided that we would wait a month or 2 and re-advertise it, because if you automatically re-advertise it, your applicants would fall off.
I understand that, but we can't wait 90 days to interview somebody either.
I don't think we quite waited that long, but.
Okay, well, that's close.
Commissioner Davis?
I agree with both Commissioner Kennard and Schleybaugh, and I'm having a little deja vu to a speech I made in June about us being understaffed for the growth. Specifically, I want to sound the alarm. I remember making this exact point for IT, asked for, I want to say 2 additional people, and I think we approved 1 or we went down 1 or something. We didn't give them what they wanted. And one of the most existential dangers to any organization is cybersecurity. And for us to not be paying attention to what the various departments need to grow with this county. I mean, the rooftops are going up at an unbelievable rate in this county. And coming in from the private sector, I rode in on the white horse going, oh, these government people, they're all about waste and they're not efficient and blah, 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 blah. We run a really lean ship here, I got to tell you, and I'm concerned.
Well,
So-
here's what I'm going to jump out here and say, okay? Yeah, you want to hire more people, then you're trying to hire 2 and you have 2 that leave. So then you finally get too hired and you have some others leave. So that's another issue you guys need to look at is, I know one of the departments, because they hired 2 and 2 left. So now they're looking for 2 more, okay? So, you know, again, you know, the building department, you know, I'll talk about that as, you know, I got chewed on yesterday, and not only from the Builder Association, I get it all the time. Nobody answers the phone out there. Okay, so that is an enterprise fund, so they could.
They've got more than enough people in the building department.
Well, here's what I can tell you, Randy. Again, they're not answering the phone, so we need to get somebody out there. But again, all I'm saying is departments, okay? You have people coming and you have people going. We're trying to hire 2 more. You get those hired and 2 leave, okay? So, guys, it's a revolving door here, okay?
Well,
I personally, I think maybe, and I'm just gonna lay it out there. Like you said, the building department's got plenty of people, okay? And I think some departments might not, some do, but I think that our staff does a great job. And again, we got caught up here. I think that we've sent a message. Let's get this stuff done.
When you're done, I'd like to.
Yeah, you know, I think we've sent a message on, hey, let's get these contracts out, and, you know, this is what we're expecting. But again, I feel that our staff does a tremendous job, and again, and it's a rotating door. You have people today just quitting jobs, great jobs, because of certain situations that the government's putting on people. So, again, I don't think we're understaffed, and I think in some areas we might be, but I think in a lot of areas we're not. So,
Well, one of the areas that we think is going to need to be addressed when the strategic plan comes forward is, and this was discussed several years ago, I don't remember if Commissioner Kennard was on the board, but was the need to do a class and comp study.
right, that's right. I remember that.
Yep.
Commissioner?
Yes, and again, I didn't mean to, start this whole thing, and I think we already have the answer in front of us. I'm just trying to explain, and staff knows this. I try to be fair. I never ask a question at a board meeting that I haven't asked them before, right? Okay, so to me, we ask, when will this project be ready? And there's a date on here. And it says, who is the responsible party? And there's a person listed on here. So we already have that information. I don't need to know if it's an OMB or if it's in permitting or whatever. What I need to know is if we're doing a design build for an RFQ that was supposed to be done 8/24, Mr. Olney doesn't report to me. Mr. Oliver does. So I'm going to ask Mr. Oliver, how come Mr. Olney hasn't brought that forward? Okay? That's the way the system is supposed to work. So I'm just saying, from here on in, if there's a date on here, let's be realistic about the date. If it's going to take until the 1st of next year to do something, let's put that date on there. But let's not, say the board's going to have this. Because, we could plug in some other things up there, that I keep getting told about, well, we're going to do this and we're that. And I can also say, in extraordinary circumstances, we could have gone in and said, hey, due to EMS, take every one of these dates and add a month or 2 to it. I mean, that would make sense too. Okay, and I understand that. But that doesn't address what happened, why we weren't ready to go with these other 2 things, Mr. Chair. So again, we can do the battle at budget time about new, more people. As you said, we have budgeted for it. We've budgeted for more people and the money's there. So, which I always bring back to the next question. The money that we budgeted that started on October 1st that we haven't spent for a month now, what's happening to that? Is that being accumulated in the true-up fund at the end of the year? Is that going to be shifted over? So again, just hear our frustrations, or at least mine, and no, those are the things that really gets me. Thank you, Mr.
All right,
Chair.
we're looking for a motion.
You're looking for a motion to approve item F minus 9, 11, 12, and 13. I would make that motion.
Got a motion by Commissioner Kitchen,
Second.
second by Commissioner Kennard. Is there any public comments? Any public comments? Seeing none, Commissioners, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 5-0. G1,
Yes, approved position title change from webmaster to communications specialist 2. This is within the PIO's office, and it was deemed in concert with the PIO that this title would be more representative of the functions that the person's going to be performing.
okay.
Motion to approve item G1.
Motion by Commissioner Kennard,
Second.
second by Commissioner Davis. Is there any public comments on G1? G1. Seeing none, we'll close that, Commissioners. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 5-0.
This is the normal BOCC goal-setting retreat. As you know, the strategic plan public input section is being delayed till January. We did have a meeting with the university yesterday, or representative of the university. They had not selected a person that was going to carry the torch forward, but they indicated they're hoping that'll be done very shortly. Our recommendation is to go forward with the one in December and then schedule additional ones once the strategic plan comes in as you all deem appropriate. We would also, buy food for that retreat. It will be all the department directors and myself, and Ms. Lynn will be there. But you've handled it one way in the past, and the question is, do you want to handle it that way for this one, or do you want to handle it differently?
Okay, Mr. Kitchen?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve item A and have our board retreat on December 2nd at, I assume that's, room 166. And item A only. Item
That's
B, traditionally, the chair, whoever that may be, picks up the tab for the board's planning retreat, so I would move that we do that.
I will second that.
And, excuse me, you said December 2nd instead of 7th?
Seventh,
Seventh.
December 7th.
7th, okay.
Pearl Harbor Day.
Thank
Okay,
you.
but this is for only A.
Yes.
Only A.
Okay, all right, so I got a motion by second by Commissioner Carnahan. Is there any public comments? Any public comments? Seeing none, commissioners, any comments?
Yep.
Commissioner Kennard.
I will be out of town on the 7th, from the 3rd through the 10th.
Okay.
Well, then we can't do it on the 7th.
Well, we're gonna, yeah. Why don't you come back with another, or we can pick a date now or come
Let's
back?
pick a date now.
Okay.
Let's see. Another date. Wait a sec. Okay, the 30th is a board meeting. Would you like to do it on December 7th?
December, he will be out of town.
That's the date that we were looking at.
Oh, I'm sorry. Would you like to do it? No, that's not a good date. Would you like to back it? No, that won't work.
What about the first week or second week in
I was
January?
gonna say, what,
Yeah, that-
January 5th?
Well, I've got the board schedule in here.
The 5th?
Yeah, let's, they haven't input the board schedule on here yet. Let's either do the 4th or the 11th.
Of January?
Yeah, I don't, whichever one is not the board date, and I don't.
11th is a board date, so 4th.
4th, how's January 4th work for everybody?
Well, and I show that as a board date, but you said they're not out yet.
I don't have the board schedule with me right now.
Doug, do you have it?
For next year? I mean, the proposed board dates.
I know I gave her I signed off on it, I just don't remember what it is. What's the date you got?
I'm showing the 4th as a board meeting.
Me too.
Denise Gallagher verified with me that the 4th is the proposed board date before.
So, January the 11th, does that work for everyone?
Fine with me.
Okay.
Let me, we got a board, and I'm just throwing it out there, we got a board meeting on the 4th, why couldn't we do it on the 5th?
Yeah, that's what I was why did Tuesdays?
That's fine.
I like
No,
that
that's
better.
fine. January 5th
have
is
the-
fine.
What's that?
Wait a minute.
January
I'm
the
not gonna
5th.
rely on my calendar.
January 5th, because then you have 4th and 5th.
My calendar shows TDC on the 5th and the board meeting on the 11th, so apparently I'm all wrong.
TDC is usually the second
Yeah,
Wednesday.
that wouldn't be on that date.
Chief Ray?
All right, with that, so we're
Work on
gonna,
my calendar,
so we're
please.
looking at the,
5th?
January 5th, okay. All right, so you wanna redo?
Yeah, my motion then would just be to restate it to January 5th, everything else being the
Okay.
same.
All right, so we got a motion, you're good with that, Commissioner Carnahan, yes? All right, public comments, any public comments? Seeing none, Commissioners, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 5-0.
Mr.
Doug,
Chair,
you update our
Commissioner?
calendar?
I was going to ask, could we, my understanding is the board sets the board dates for the meetings next year.
Yeah, they're
So-
getting ready to come to you.
Right, so it's going to be presented to us. What meeting will that be?
Next meeting.
The next meeting, great. So I was going to say, the sooner we get the dates for next year, the
Right.
better, then we can start plugging this in. Thanks, sir.
Okay, G3.
Move approval.
Yes,
of-
G3 is just acknowledge the appraisals for Pirates Cove.
Move approval of G3.
Motion by Commissioner Davis, second by Commissioner Kennard. Any public comments? Any public comments? Seeing none, Commissioners, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. G4. That's the add-on.
That's the audit for EMS?
Yes, this is the
Yeah,
audit
let's
for
talk about
EMS. Nature Coast has agreed to participate and provide the information, but they've declined to pay for the audit, which was part of the terms of the contract. The cost of this is $20,000. The clerk's office believes this is essential as it may negatively impact the county.
What is your beliefs here?
I have some beliefs, but they're the record keeper for the county.
Okay.
My first belief is that Nature Coast is required to provide this, but having said that, the bankruptcy attorneys, or bankruptcy judge is omnipotent. The bankruptcy judge could determine that it doesn't serve any useful purpose for Nature Coast, and therefore the bankruptcy judge could say no. And I can't answer what they may or may not do.
Mr. Chair, nobody is less happy about this than I am. Does this not reinforce we made the right decision?
I agree.
This is like deja vu of the fire department. I mean, really? Remember we went down this road? So reluctantly, I'll make a motion that we approve item G4 so that we can get this audit done and say this $20,000 is just more money we had to step up and take care of.
Motion by Commissioner Kitchen,
Second.
second by Commissioner Kennard. Is there any public comments on G4? Any public comments? Seeing none, we'll close that. Commissioners, any other comments?
Yes, sir. This was an additional item, so
Yeah.
should we let the public know what it is that we're voting on?
Yes, this is to pay for the audit of Nature Coast, because it's a component unit of the county. So that can be included in the county's CAFR and filed in a timely manner.
And the estimated cost is $20,000.
The estimated not to exceed cost is $20,000.
Okay, just want the public to be aware of that. So.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. G5.
Yes, G5 is, authorizes the chairman to sign a letter of support for Veterans Village. This is the same letter you've signed in the past, and all it does is to say that this is a good project, and we'd like to see whoever fund it.
Okay, and then, and then we're gonna still put the same dates on it, or?
We will
Matter.
just put the date,
All right, okay.
the current date on
All
it,
right,
yes.
Commissioners?
Mr. Chair, move approval of item G5.
Got a motion by Commissioner Kitchen,
Second.
second by Commissioner Davis. Is there any public comments? Any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Advisory Board announcements, nominations, we have none of them. Committee reports, we'll start down here. Commissioner Kennard, anything?
No, sir.
Commissioner Slayball?
I met with the National Association of Counties for Transportation, a new board I'm sitting on, and it was very informative. I wasn't able to go to the convention they had, but I look forward to serving on that board, and it's interesting to hear the rest of the states talk about what they're going through, which is very similar to what we're going through, and preparing for companies moving back to Florida, not to Florida, to the United States, and because of some
Shipping problems.
shipping problems, thank you. So it was very informative, and I'm proud to serve on it.
All right, Commissioner Kitchen?
I don't believe we've met since our last meeting, but I do have a related item. Mr. Chair, I believe, unless it's changed, I believe I'm still one of the representatives from Citrus County on the Small County Coalition. I've made the choice not to attend FAC due to the fact that I'm not running again, and I just don't think that's a good use of taxpayer dollars for me to go there. I don't serve on the other boards like you do, so there's no other, function for me to do. So I would like to put out there for the other commissioners that I think my place on the Small County Coalition should be replaced by another commissioner. So I know that's coming up soon. I'm just saying that now, so perhaps the other commissioners can look into it and see who might be interested in doing it.
I was gonna say, because
and-
reorganization would be the 30th, and then the new chair could appoint or.
Yeah, but usually the chair appoints based on what the interests are of the
Right.
people that want to do it. So I'm just throwing that out there. Not that I didn't enjoy working with you down there, but I think you had to have somebody down there with you that can vote, so.
Gotcha,
You
okay.
had TDC since the last meeting?
Well, TDC, was that, yeah, that was after that meeting, but it pretty much was what I said. We broke all the records, and we still have another month to go. We keep allocating money to our media people, and they keep doing an amazing job. Overall, I would say, hands down, everybody was very, very pleased with the results that we're getting. We had some new partner, I guess, I don't go into a lot of detail because I asked for those minutes to be sent to the commissioners as well, too. But we did pick up a new partner in the fishing end of it, and that's getting to be very big, and they're also pushing the freshwater fishing more, for the east side of the county. So I think overall, tourism is setting very well. Lots of discussion about what's the future hold and all that, which nobody has a crystal ball, but looking back, it's been an extraordinary year this year, and we'll wait and see what happens next year.
All right, and with that, I think it was a couple weeks ago, I was in Tallahassee, was there Monday, come home, went back Wednesday, spent the day meeting legislators for Small County Coalition, and definitely pushed hometown rules, definitely pushed other, small county issues, and I definitely pushed that we need a parkway to go to 19. Got to meet with the president, the House Speaker, and numerous other senators and representatives, and I beat it pretty hard of getting that to 19. So with that being said, all right, Commissioner Davis, anything?
Yes, sir, I got a whole bunch. I did go to TDC to sit in on the record-breaking meeting there. Couple of non-committee things I went to on the Bam Fam tour, which was pretty doggone cool. And of course, a lot of really very important businesses doing some really cool things in this county. But of course, Murr Taylor rose to the top just because of the incredible eye candy of what he's building over there. It's going to be amazing. Fire Up Citrus had some fantastic ideas there. I highly recommend. It's only held every other year, but I definitely highly recommend going to that. On the committee aspect, 4CF, wow, we just got hit with a pretty bad blow because our executive director quit without any warning, so we'll be posting that job opening soon. Like Commissioner Schleybaugh, I sit on a National Association of Counties for community and essentially community prosperity, generational poverty. Really interesting to be on a national phone call with a lot of folks from both urban and rural areas, and clearly from both sides of the political divide. A lot of folks that are perhaps a little more liberal on the phone call. Really nice people, good hearts, definitely want to reach out there, but I was the voice going, okay, what are we doing? This is all well and good, but what are we doing to make sure this is a transitional thing, teaching people to fish, that old saw, instead of giving them fish. Benefits cliff is quite horrific, and so I brought that up as well. Which brings me to the highlight of my week was meeting with the steering committee for Prosperity Citrus last night. We're down to 7 folks, and we're making incredible headway, and it looks like basically around the 1-year mark, we're going to start coaching families from 1 year from starting, which is a pretty phenomenal progress. So, and I also talked about that with NACO. So.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Kennard, you have a couple items.
Yes, I do. The first item is just adding a couple things to a modification to our legislative priorities list. It's not going, it's not us going and asking for these things or lobbying for these things, just merely suggesting that that we support a few of the 2 cities' big initiatives. Obviously, the city of Crystal River, they have their own lobbyists. They're going to be lobbying the legislature for this $2 million for the Riverwalk, and they're going to be lobbying as well, continue to lobby for improvements to Turkey Oak to serve as a bypass to the city. All of this this traffic that ultimately will come with Suncoast Parkway to 44, and then ultimately 486. any of that traffic that's going north, or much of that traffic that's going north, will be traveling right through downtown. They've had ongoing conversations with DOT and the MPO about this, and what they're looking for are some changes to the intersections to improve traffic flow through there. There's been some discussion about that this is a this is a $60-70 million project to 4-lane it, and on and on. By the time that road would need to be 4-laned, it is hopeful that the Suncoast Parkway will be out to 19, and Turkey Oak would not need to be 4-laned. But it's simply some improvements to Turkey Oak to accommodate the traffic that the county's been begging the Turnpike Authority and DOT to bring to us via the Suncoast. And the last one on here is widening 41 is a priority for everybody. I noticed in the city of Inverness's legislative request that they're asking DOT, when they do widen right there in front of the shopping center, to do an entrance, a curb cut there, if you will, for a future entrance to Wishburn Pines Park, so that they don't have to go back once 41 is widened, go back through the whole process and try and make some modifications after construction's complete. So I would make a motion that we add these 3 items to our legislative request as supporting the city of Crystal River and the city of Inverness's legislative requests.
No, and I actually beat on that 41 drum, and I know they also. So here's the issue I got. I don't have any issues with what Crystal River's trying to do with Turkey Oak, but I do have an issue when it comes to the county owns most of Turkey Oak, and I don't want somebody putting. Listen, if they're willing to take over Turkey Oak, or if the FDOT is willing to take over Turkey Oak, then I don't have any support. But I don't think that the things they want to do should push out on the county, because again, I personally, if I was a business in Crystal River, I'd want that traffic coming through. I'm here to tell you now. So again, I don't mind supporting what they want, but by God, I don't want to push in, whether it's $20 million, $15 million, a good section of that the county owns, and it's going to cost the county taxpayers versus, it's going to cost the taxpayers. So there's my concern. So I don't mind supporting them, but I think that our priority is to get, hold on, I'll give you the floor back. But again, I just don't see, I don't have a problem with supporting Turkey Oak, but Crystal River either needs to take it all over or FDOT needs to take it over. I don't think they should be putting the county in that position, so.
Yeah, two comments. First, it's my understanding that Turkey Oak was originally constructed with the purpose of being a bypass. And the second concern that you have is, let's remember, we're the ones that have begged and pleaded for the Suncoast Parkway to continue north from 98. That wasn't the city of Crystal River. So what we're doing by bringing this road, and it's a good thing, I'm fully supportive of it, but we're now dumping all that traffic onto the city roads. That's not entirely fair to the city neither. So what they're asking for is for the legislature to step up and make some improvements for Turkey Oak, the road that was originally designed and built to be a bypass to the city. Look, if I was a business, I'd want the traffic coming by there too, but that's not what the city is asking for.
And again, Commissioner, I'll support it.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is no money out of our pocket. That's all I'm saying.
This 20 million's a legislative
Okay,
request.
and again, I'll support them. I just don't want no money out of our pocket. And then, then the road gets upgraded and then it's dumped back on the county to maintain because it's our road. That's all I'm saying. I support. Commissioner Slayball?
And I don't mean to sound like I'm not agreeing with you on this, but I have a question. Why, they have a lobbyist, why do they need, because won't this essentially, if it goes back to our list, our lobbyist has to also lobby it?
No.
Just a letter of support?
This is just saying we support these initiatives that the city is doing, that the city's.
Oh, I thought you said you wanted it on our list.
I want it on our list, but there's, our lobbyist is not going to be going to Senator Simpson and Representative Masulo and saying, you need to do this, they've got somebody else singing that song, but our legislative request just shows that we're in supportive of if they want to know where the county commission's at on these things, we're supportive of their requests.
One issue that I see right now on our legislative list is way too long. We have a lot of ask, and to me, it looks terrible. When you're asking, and I'm not beating on any commissioner, because I know we're just asking, but when you're seeing them give us money for parks and give us money for this, and I think we have to focus on what we need, because I think our list is getting too long. And I think, and again, I'm not picking on, asking is one thing, but when you start asking all that, and I'm here to tell you, there's a lot of people, I see the House just coming down hard on us. I don't see the two jiving, and I think that we've got to really focus on the top priorities instead of getting this list way too long, because I think we're putting ourselves in serious danger by doing that, and that's just my opinion. So, Commissioner Kitchen, I'll come to Commissioner Davis next.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, going down the list, generally, I agree. We keep saying we can ask, but it's kind of like you keep asking. You ask for 15 things, which is really important. I've always say we should ask for one or two things and say this is very important. But again, if we have a section on there that says we support our partners, which I think Mr. McGee did the last time, if that's the way it was couched, is that this isn't our ask, but we support our partners in that ask. But with that said, let me just point out a couple things. One, funding request for Riverwalk, $2 million. Do they not have enough money yet? Okay, they got COVID money. They got money for every time you turn around. We gave them money. TDC gave them money. How much more do they need? Do they need this $2 million to build it? Where, I'm just the same thing we talked about at the Veterans Village. We've been saying every time we get involved, we say, how can we help you? Here's money. Here's support. Let's do it. And it's like there's never enough money. So I'm just curious. The second one is Commissioner Kennard is, I think, absolutely correct in the fact that this Turkey Oak was built as a bypass, but that's a defunct project. What they originally were doing, if you go back and look, is they were going to build Turkey Oak, and then they were buying land around behind there and using it for a bypass around the city. At that time, they decided they didn't want to bypass around the city, and they told the county, sell the land. We don't want you to build the bypass. So that's why, you got to be careful what your long-range strategic plan is, because the money that you pick up that you're spending today, you might be selling off as surplus. Also, just so we're clear, and again, the rules changed, because I know I've been out of the loop on this, on item 3, my understanding is one of the reasons that widening 41 is going to be so expensive, this is what I was told back then, was that there's a park on one side of 41. You can't encroach in that park. So FDOT is going to have to buy commercial real estate on the other side and not take a foot of the park. So my only question is if part of their plan is a cut, is that going to include a decel or an XL lane? Is that, or is it they're just simply they want to cut in the curb? That doesn't seem like it would take a statewide effort to make, to make a cut in the curb. So, again, overall, Mr. Chair, I don't have any objections to it, but it just seems to me that, like when we go up there, and if we're going to ask for, X $1 million for a bike path, we're going to be able to say, this is why, this is what it's going to do, this is the benefit to the entire state of Florida and the economy of Florida. And I think anytime we put those things on those lists, we need to be prepared to make that argument.
Well, here's what I think they want an entrance in there. But what I was going to say is we all need to remember who actually really owns Whispering Pines. The state owns Whispering Pines. The state actually owns that property. So I don't know if they could take it or not, but I do know the state owns it. Commissioner Kennard?
Yeah, again, this is just supporting these legislative requests that were made by the city. The Ford Island Trail multi-purpose path ask that we have on our legislative request. Crystal River has also included that on their list, legislative requests, not as their request, but we are in support of the county's request for funding for this. Even though it's well out of the city, naturally it will benefit them.
Mm-hmm. And again, but I do think they want an interest. Commissioner Davis.
I agree with what y'all are saying, that as long as it's positioned as we are in support of our, community partners and their ask, but I specifically, I was with our lobbyist last night in the meeting, and I specifically asked him about the length of the list, And he said normally that's a absolutely valid concern, but this year we're probably okay with the link that we have. So I'm gonna go with what our professional paid consultant
I
says.
agree.
Although
Agree
I
100%.
totally honor y'all's experience, more experience than me. But he's the pros up in Tallahassee all the time.
Wouldn't argue with you a bit about that. Any other comments?
So,
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
I will make a motion that we approve item L1 to add these items to our legislative request list as supporting these legislative
Okay.
requests by the
Got a
city.
motion by Commissioner Kennard,
second?
second by Commissioner Kitchen. Is there any public comments? Any public comments? Seeing none, Commissioners, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Yes, here we go.
Yeah.
Before we begin discussion on this, here's what I'm asking for and nothing more at this point. I'm asking that we would direct staff, we've gotten the 2 appraisals, I'm asking that we would direct staff to negotiate a purchase price for this property. Now, once we get a price and know what this property can be purchased for, then we can go to a grant that's up in Tallahassee for expanding parks. There are other grants up there for acquiring property that's not necessarily restricted to expanding parks. But in order to go to those folks, we need to say, I need to be able to say, or we need to be able to say, this is what the purchase price is on this property. This is how much we need to buy this property. If those grants don't come through, then we can have a knockdown, drag out up here over funding, because I'm gonna bring it back and say, let's try and identify different pots of funds. I don't think there's one single pot of money where this money can come from unless unless we can get state grant money where they would step up and purchase us to expand an existing park. So all I'm asking for today is just direct staff to negotiate a purchase price.
And again, I'll jump out there. I can appreciate that, but here's what I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna treat this any different than we treated Homosassa. Homosassa brought us the number. We didn't negotiate, and I don't think our staff should be. I think if the residents of Ozella feel that this property needs to be bought, I think they need to take the same exact road as Homosassa did. And I'm not gonna treat it any different. So I don't think our staff does need to get involved. And again, I'll never support buying it. Because again, I don't think I think we have, here's all I can say. I could take the 700,000, 500,000, whatever, and I'll put it in road resurfacing, or I'll put it in infrastructure issues. But instead of buying the property, we've got a bunch of infrastructure issues, the road and the bridges and so forth out there. So I'll never, ever, I'll support of you getting a team of them together and moving forward like we did with Homosassa. But as far as using any county funds or any county resources, I just don't think we need to go down that route, because I don't think we should treat these any differently, and I think it has to be the same.
Mr. Chair, can I respond?
Yes, sir.
Again, I would remind you that all I'm asking for is to negotiate the price, the purchase price on this. This is different than Homosassa. I was reminded of that today, that Homosassa was looking to establish a brand-new park where there wasn't a park. This is looking to expand a park. We charge every new home, every new business, an impact fee for park expansion. Right now in that district, there's $190,000 in impact fees sitting in that district. I'm not asking for that money right now. The first course of action, once we get a price, is gonna be to try and go for grant money. This board back in 2017, I think it was, we increased the TDC tax, the bed tax, 2 cents. Some of that goes into a special fund, special projects fund from the TDC. Right now, I think the only construction project really that's happened with that money has gone to the visitor center over at the Wildlife Center over in Kings Bay. That's been since 2017. We hear it over and over, and it's a great job being done by the TDC. The record number of tourists coming to the county, that once they get out there and go scalloping, or once they get out there and see the manatees, they're looking for other things to do in this county. That is, you know, should we fail at getting grant money out of Tallahassee? Absolutely, there's money there that we should be going after. The Duke Fund, Duke Energy, our special projects fund with that Duke money, that went online in 2018. We're coming up on 2022 very quickly. And I don't know that we've allocated some money from that fund to go towards this multi-purpose path. But outside of that, we're coming up on 2022, and we've not used that money to construct one special project in the county. So if we're not successful in acquiring that grant, yes, there are different funds. I would not expect that we'd be able to go to one single fund and say, you know, let's get 500 out of this or 700 out of this. But there are different places, including some private funds, that we can go and look at. But we can't do any of that until we have a price tag.
Okay. Mr. Kitchen.
Yes, you know, and I'm not gonna belabor it, but again, Commissioner Kennard, I respect him greatly, but he walked me down this path last time by saying, quote, "All I'm asking for is," unquote. And you said, "All I'm asking for is an appraisal."
Yeah.
There was never, and then it was so we can go out and find the grant money. Now there's a new one that's added. All I'm asking for is to go negotiate a purchase price. Well, and I wouldn't have voted for it the last time. If you would have included that in your ask the last time, I wouldn't have supported it then. I made my position. I can't speak for the rest of the board. Believe me, I hear from the folks in Homosassa all the time. I sat down with them for over a period of 2 or 3 years, and all I did is sit at the table, and I kept telling them, there's about 100 things to do on your list, and you're on number 2. Okay? And it was all on them. And every time other people called from Chazawitzki and everywhere else, "Why are you doing this? Why are you building a park?" I said, "We're not. The county needs no more parks." That is my overall opinion. We don't need any more parks. We don't need to expand the ones we have. We have more pressing needs. We can't keep building animal shelters, buying things, and doing all these things and still turn around and telling people, "Oh, no, we're not going to raise your taxes." We wanted to give the sheriff $1 million more just for the weekend to put some boats out there. So we've had these tremendous wish lists that we just keep saying, "Oh, $1 million here, $1 million there." We keep going back to the Duke Fund, as you've said. It hasn't been spent. That's what I talked about earlier today. We agreed as a board every year there'd be reoccurring funds coming from that Duke Fund to the multi-use path. Okay, so again, once we set our sights on something, we can't keep going in and say, no, now instead of doing that, we're going to do this. Absolutely, I would support using Duke funds or the capital funds, special fund for the trail, but not for this. Because again, I think I'm hearing from people who live down there that don't want it developed. Those are the people who want us to buy it, period. Tell you right now, the people in Sugar Mill aren't crazy about buying it. The people I've heard from Floral City are not crazy about buying it because they say the same thing. Why would you treat them different than Homosassa? And my answer is I won't. I'm not going to spend money. People tell me they want EMS, they want fire, and they want law enforcement. I'm not going to go out and buy more parks when people are screaming that we're not paying our EMS people who are now our EMS people enough. So that's the core function of government to me. Again, you guys push through the new animal shelter. Hopefully, at least it'll be paid for by selling other things that we don't need in order to build another building. To expand the building for the constitutionals, we identified a funding source for that. There's no funding source for this. You know, you're saying we might use this, we might use that, and you got 2 commissioners sitting here now saying they won't do it. Who knows what you're going to have after next November? The plug may get pulled on all this. So I'm just trying to say, if we want to keep initiative behind the things that we've all been on board for, that's what we need to do. And again, you know, I've backed you on things before and then turned around and had it slap me in the face. You know, the hospital thing, last example of it. I could have said, nope, don't agree with Commissioner Kennard, let it die, and it would have gone away. But I supported you, and it came back and slapped me in the face, okay? So I'm not going down that road again. I voted for an appraisal only so that a group could be formed that could go out and find the money to do it, and there would never be a discussion of tax money being used. And any money that we take from the Duke Fund or anything else, is just as the chairman has said, is money that could have gone to roads, that could have been money that went to the bike trail, it could have gone to the animal shelter, you know? So we can't keep having 10 number one projects. We have to start looking at. So all I'm saying is that I made my position very clear the last time. I just didn't like reading in the paper that what I was told at the meeting had changed since the last meeting. And at the what we were told, what I heard was, no, no, no. The only thing I'm asking for is an appraisal. That's it. And that's what we voted on. So that's why I said I was very disappointed and very shocked to see this go out and negotiate a price. We haven't even identified where the money's coming from. We don't even know what are we going to tap into if they come back and say, I'll sell it to you for X, but we got to do it immediately. Well, now there's going to be a big rush to do it. So obviously, Mr. Chair, I'm not a big fan of the proposal, and I won't support it.
Mr. Chairman, can I respond? No. All right. The last time I brought this up, that's all I was asking for is the appraisal. And I've told you, I've told this board today, all I'm asking for is to go out and do this. At any point, certainly commissioners can vote against it and say, no, I've gone as far as I'm going to go with you, and I fully respect that. I'm not sitting here and telling you I'm never going to come back to you and ask to use some funds from this or some funds from that. In fact, I've said my first step is going to be to try and get grant money to pay for this. If I can do that, then that is what's going to pay for this. If not, then yes, I will come back to this board, because I do believe that it is the county's responsibility to build parks. Not unlimited number of parks, but as our county grows, and it is growing, and as the number of tourists increases, and it is increasing, our county is growing up. We can't say that the existing park space that we have that was good for 130,000 people, now when this next census comes out, there's widespread belief that we're going to be north of 160,000, or maybe ultimately, down the road, we go to 170,000 or 180,000. I just don't think that the position of we're never building another park, we're never expanding another park. If we're never going to expand park capacity, then we should stop collecting park impact fees, because that's specifically what they're for. I don't feel like that is a position that we can carry forward as our county grows up. We have said, as far as using the Duke money for road resurfacing and things like that, we have in the past, but that is a fund that this board has specifically said that fund at some point, or that revenue stream at some point, is going to go away. We should be using this for special projects. And yes, I think we agreed to somewhere around $500,000 or so on an annual basis from that Duke fund, which I fully support. There's no doubt that is my top priority. But beyond that, that fund is $2.2 million, $2.3 million. The rest of that money should be going towards the special projects that we want to use it for. I think it's county's job. Is it a core function of government? No, it's not a core function of government. If we're going to get down to the very, very basic core function of government, then we've got a whole lot of cutting to do and stuff that we fund. Expanding a park in the middle of a refuge area really should be an easy one for us, I believe.
Mr. Chair, I need to, if I may.
Then I'll come to Commissioner Davis.
I know
after you.
she's been very patient. I
Yes.
just want to clarify this also. Commissioner Kennard said he believes there was just a little capital spent from the TDC fund for the wildlife. That's not correct. If you go and look, we just recently gave Save the Homosassa River money to pay for their permitting so that they can get the money from the state. We also funded Save Crystal River to do the same thing. We also only 1 cent of that can go to capital. That has to be what it's spent for. And so if you go down the capital, special projects is separate from capital projects. And if you go down the list of capital projects, there's been quite an expenditure list. The $700,000 for the bike path came from capital projects. So there has been more than just funding the wildlife center.
Riverwalk, too.
So- Yes, and the Riverwalk, yes.
Commissioner Davis?
I completely concur with what Commissioner Kennard is saying about park impact fees and the fact that I believe we're platted for 300,000 residents eventually. And so, you know, I'm a long ball thinker. That's a very specific and particular piece of property. The only thing that does worry me a little bit is the resiliency aspect that that whole isthmus might be underwater at some point, or peninsula. So I would support at least this next step. And then I may tap out after that, I don't know, but I would support this next step.
Very good, thank you. And, Mr. Chair, can I? I completely understand the resiliency part of it. The elevation out there has got to be a foot, 2 feet. But I will tell you, at the chamber luncheon that Senator Simpson spoke at, he made no bones about the coastal property that the state is spending billions of dollars to buy up. The state is taking this sea level rise very seriously. Coastal communities all over the state of Florida, when they get the opportunity, are taking these such properties off the market and into the public hands. It's a very, very good investment, and I think that it would play very well into getting some grant money out of Tallahassee to expand this park. So I think it's the right move.
Well, and again, I'm jumping in, and I'm tapped out, okay? Because here's what I'm gonna tell you, is let's take the impact fee money and let's use it for a piece of property that's gonna be underwater. What about the ball fields that all these kids are gonna come in and do ball fields, and those things you're gonna need? We need to build a football field right now, and, you know, we talked about that, but, so that impact fees could go to that. Again, if the community wants to get together and put a group together, and listen, what we did also, and I agree with Commissioner Kitchen, we got an appraisal on the Homosassa property, okay? So I did the same thing for this property, but I'm tapped out. Again, here's what, and again, the only people that I've heard for support are the ones that live down there, and I totally understand that. But to take this off a tax roll, maybe, it'll never be commercial, okay? You might get one house, maybe 2 houses in there, okay? So, you know, again, I'm tapped out, and to me, if you're gonna use impact fee money, is for parks that's going to benefit children into that nature. So again, I'm tapped out. I won't support it. Commissioner Slayball, and then I'll come back to
Yeah,
Commissioner.
can I just answer real quick here? Mr. Chairman, I've said that I would support building a football field in the Central Ridge District, where you're talking about. But that's a different pot of money. You can't use.
I know that.
You can't
I
move
understand.
that, okay? That park, the existing park that's there is used. It's used a lot. And expanding it makes great sense. It is one unique opportunity that this county has to provide a world-class park, just as a passive park, right in the middle of the wildlife, or right in the middle of the St. Lawrence.
And I appreciate it, but
Pardon me. It's a unique piece of property right in the middle of the St. Martin's Marsh Preserve. It's just a unique piece of property.
Commissioner Slayball.
I have some questions, if that's okay, if I ask the questions and Commissioner
Do as you
Kennard
want,
answers?
because I'm tapped out.
Okay. I appreciate a little bit of shade thrown my way, but I want to clear this up that I purposely asked, my ask was towards our football field and parks, and hopefully I'll get that money. And it is a separate pot of money, though, and I don't think that should have been brought up. The animal shelter, that's a done deal. Let's move on. It's happening. This is about this. And I don't know where I'm at with it, but I do have some questions for you. You answered my first question about, is this the same as Homosassa? I didn't think it was the same as Homosassa, and you answered that. I am going to look at this as a conservation, not an additional park. And as a Florida native, that is one little way you're kind of hooking me. But I do want to know what do you see for this property, not the other part? I've gone out there. I told you, I asked you to table it before so I could go out there. And what is your vision? That's my first question. Second question, was the title cleaned up? My third question, is this a boaters-only park? And if that's the case, I'm not a boater, and there are a lot of us that aren't boaters. What's your vision again? How will this benefit the county? And then I got three more, so you want to go there?
Yes.
The first one is, what do you see for this property? What's the vision for this property?
This would be a beautiful passive park. Picnic tables, barbecue grill, that's it. All our only maintenance on this property, and you've been out there, I mean, you've seen the view from that park. There is a boat ramp, an existing boat ramp neighboring it. But this would not be to accommodate more boaters. It wouldn't be to expand parking for the existing boat ramp there. There's property there to do that. This is a passive park that simply expands that park at the end of Ozello Trail. The Ozello Trail is, obviously is widely known for the number of twists and turns and so forth out there. But people go through all that, not just so they can make it through all the turns, but they can see a really, really unique piece of Florida. And having what ultimately would be a 4 or 5 acre county park at the end of that trail really would be something unique left for future generations. Now, the other thing was the title. The title has been cleaned up, and boaters only, no. This is a passive park for picnic tables and barbecue grills.
With this investment that would be made, however way you envision getting the money, this will bring more traffic down that road. And what do the residents think of that? And that road is in kind of a bad shape anyway. And do you foresee a lot of, I wouldn't go down there for the boat ramp, but I would go down there for the park. So there's going to be that's going to be an obstacle for us. And then, talk about that. Let's talk
Okay,
about that.
yep. The, I don't know who is calling the other commissioners, and I'm not doubting that they are. I've not had a single comment, a single phone call telling me, don't do this. And my name has been plastered all over this, which I'm fine with. But if all of these people are so opposed to this, why not call the person? When I was carrying the lantern on boat ramp fees, I heard from them. I heard from a lot of folks, mostly positive, but I did hear all the negatives too. As far as this goes, I haven't heard since I first brought this up. I haven't had the first negative phone call telling me. Now, I've seen stuff posted online, don't spend my tax dollars. We've got one particular individual that I'm sure emails all of us, don't spend my tax dollars on this, but it's don't spend my tax dollars on an animal shelter, don't spend my tax dollars. And I understand that, and I email them back every time and just try and explain where I'm at on the issue. As far as more traffic, Ozello Trail is in trouble. We've acknowledged that. That road needs to be repaired, and it will be repaired. It's going to be expensive, but there's going to be increased traffic down that road when you put a world-class passive park at the end of that trail. More people will travel to go and see that park. I haven't had a single person from Ozello the whole time that I've mentioned this question the additional traffic there. So.
You've brought that up to them.
What's that?
You've brought up there will be additional traffic.
No, no. But, that comes with anything that happens. I can tell you that I have heard from some residents out there about a commercial project that's envisioned out there, and I've directed them towards that individual to have those conversations. But there's been no secret that that I am carrying the lantern on this thing and trying to move it forward.
And if it got to the stage where the last two final comments are, if it got to the stage where, there was an offer made, obviously with the appraisals that came in, it isn't where the sellers want it, but the sellers want to sell this property. So I would hope that people would be cognizant of that, the price that they want does not match what they would get.
Yeah, we, go ahead, I'm sorry. I didn't
And
mean to
then,
interrupt you.
and then the last one is that, I do agree with you about, again, conservation, but if this is the case and we don't want any more parks, then we need to stop collecting impact fees for parks. And I guess that's all I have.
The asking price versus the appraisal is exactly why I've got this on the agenda. Let's find out what it can be purchased for, and then I can go and look for the money. There's a lot of places to look for the money. It doesn't hurt to get a price for, if the owner comes back and says, I'm stuck on this, and everybody says there's no way it's worth that, whatever it might be, we've got 2 appraisals in hand that, if this passes today, we can direct staff to go to them and say, this is what the appraisals are. Let's get a price worked out, and then we can go and then I can go and try and find the funding for it.
I got a question real quick. I'll just throw something out there. Instead of trying to, listen, staff's got enough to do, so instead of directing staff to do, why don't you take it upon yourself to try to negotiate a price?
No, that's not our job. We're a policy board.
All right. Anyway, Commissioner Davis?
I'll reiterate that I am strongly in favor of this next step, but depending on funding sources, I may tap out later. If we are going to eventually double in population, we need more park space. And I completely agree with Commissioner Schleybaugh that if we are collecting impact fees, then for park expansion, then this would be an ideal, I think. It fits our nature coast. It fits what makes us special. I am entirely in favor of ball fields, but ball fields is something that every county has. Let me share why I feel so strongly about this. I just went to a wedding on one of the cruises out of Clearwater Beach this past weekend. Beautiful area, but oh dear God, the traffic. And you go down the pier and there's one boat after another and guaranteed dolphin sightings, and you get to go on a boat with 50 or 100 of your closest friends in a completely crowded harbor and go chase dolphins. Instead, I went out on Easter morning, listened to the Easter sunrise service as I paddled out with with our attorney and somebody else, another staff member from Crystal River. The 3 of us went out there and chased dolphins while the sun rose, and we were the only ones out there on kayaks. And it was the most sublime, amazing nature coast experience. And anything we can do to protect that, what I do for a living is figure out what the USP is for a brand, unique selling proposition. We are the nature coast. And this fits right in our sweet spot.
I agree, thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Hold on, I got Commissioner Slayball. Then I can
I'm
mute.
sorry. Okay.
You do realize if this becomes a park, you won't be out there all alone. Just
It already
So
is
we're
a
just
park.
buying it for you guys.
that's what I'm saying. It wouldn't be that way. It's kind of.
It already is a park, but what I'm saying is
No.
that we're never gonna be a Clearwater. We're not, it can't support that level. There's not gonna be, you can't even draft a boat out there. Like, it have to have really shallow draft to go out of there, and so that's a kayak place.
Nah, but
It may turn into the Crystal River situation where there's 50 million kayaks, but,
you can put a boat in there and go out.
Yeah, I saw.
I can
but
tell you
not the size cruise ships that are going out of
Oh.
Clearwater.
that. Commissioner Kitchen.
Yes. Obviously, we have a difference of opinion. We keep hearing about 300,000 down the road. What I hear from people is I elected you, Commissioner Kitchen, 7 years ago because the county was on a tax and spend spiral. That's where we are today, as far as I'm concerned. That's what I'm hearing from my constituents. I'm hearing, oh, you just put that on, you just put that on, you just put that on. Now you're buying this and you're buying that and you're buying that. And now you tell us you don't have enough money for this, this, or this, so then you got to raise more money for that. That's why there's such pushback. This is mission creep in government. Well, this is a good idea. And I tell you, I feel no different. Maybe I'm staying the course. I might be wrong. but I'm staying the course, and that is, the county 7 years ago was the buyer of last resort of properties that people couldn't get rid of. Can't get rid of it, take it to the county. That's what we're becoming again, okay? I can tell you, I don't know how many times people have approached me and saying, well, this would be good, and I could give you all the same reasons you guys want to go down this path for this. I was approached about the property across from the Margarita Grill. Down there in Homosassa. And, oh, we need the county to buy this. This would be a great park. It's on the water. It's beautiful. It's got, you know, it's got seawall. I said, no. I said, you put a group together, you get your group together, you form it, you tell me how you're gonna raise the money to buy it, and then I'll approach the county about seeing if they'll do an appraisal, okay? So all it's gonna, and the reason they did that is because they saw what was happening in Homosassa and everybody wanted to get on. So I'm just not gonna turn around and vote to raise people's taxes and turn around and say, well, we might have 300,000 people someday. If you look at the last thing that our salary is based on, they say we haven't even got 149,000 people in Citrus County. So where are these numbers are being thrown around about? I don't know. We can always say, yeah, we're going to have a whole bunch of people here, but then the question comes down to, and we've already said that you know, what is it going to be? What do they want the most? They want an animal shelter, or they want a passive park, or do they want? And if the answer is, do they want it all? Well, no, they don't, because they're not willing to pay for it. It's just a few people that want this and a few people that want that, and this will all shake out. I mean, either it'll happen or it won't. I just remember that how we got stuck with so many things over the years because they were sold to us as such a great and wonderful idea, and maybe they were, but it still comes down to what can we afford. And people expect their tax dollars to be spent wisely, not just on things that commissioners think might be a good investment for the future. What I hear from people, good investments for the future are land for future fire departments, ability to not put things in places where there's already a bunch of traffic issues, and so on. So I would rather spend our time in planning to keep us becoming a place like Clearwater instead of saying, what are we going to do when we're like Clearwater? And you know, we can do that. So again, I've stood by this, and I would up until this point, because I thought we had a clear understanding it was going to be treated just like Homosassa. So, you know, and you're right. Let me just say this for the record too. Staff did not spend 1 minute at a time other than when we got together one time to tell Rodney and those folks down there what they needed to do. We never sent staff off and say, go do this, go do that, put this together. They just got finished telling you they don't have enough time to do what we need them to do, and now we want them to go out and negotiate for something that they have no reassurance that the county's going to step up for it. So anyway, that's all I have to say. I'm not going to support this.
Yep. I'll make my last comment on this, and then I'm going to make a motion that we approve it. Not one time have I suggested anything that would pull funds out of the general fund to pay for this. Buying this piece of property is not going to raise county taxes 1 cent. The funds, the pot of funds that I've talked about as potential sources, if we can't get grant funding, are there. They do not require a single increase in ad valorem taxes. So that, you know, the money is there. If philosophically, if we differ about increasing parks, increasing park sizes, again, I would reiterate, this is not going out and establishing a new park. It's taking a very unique opportunity to expand a park when we already have been collecting money from home builders to expand parks. That is the very purpose of our park impact fees. It has to be used to expand. This is a great opportunity to do just that. So that's my last comment on it. I'll go ahead and make the motion that we approve this to direct staff to negotiate with the listing realtor for a purchase price.
Second.
Got a motion, got a second. Is there any public comments?
My name is Cecilia Treat, and I'm going to address this to the ladies because the gentlemen here are not for this. I'm going to talk to you about, I walk Ozella Trail every single day, 5.6 miles to Island Outpost. Yes, there's traffic there, but the traffic is boat traffic, motorcycle traffic. They're going down there to see the most unique place that probably some of them have ever seen in their life. This is an emotional thing for me. I understand your point of view, but this is a chance, an opportunity to take a special piece of property that is never going to be created again and make it a beautiful place where people can come and enjoy it. And there, you always talk about the tourism here. Well, the people come here. I know everybody doesn't live on the water, but the people come here because of the water. And that is the most wonderful place to kayak and fish. It gives you peace, tranquility, and it is just a place that you can just sit on those picnic benches, lots of motorcycles out there. And I'm just asking you to please just let us get a price so that myself, and I know that all you two don't believe that other people from Ozella are for this, but trust me, they are. You may not hear that, but I do. But give me an opportunity and the people that I know to help Commissioner Kennard to get the money to buy this. I'm a very tenacious person, so I could go out there and help him get this money. That is not going to be taxpayer money. It's going to be from a different source. And yes, I live there. And yes, I am very passionate about this. But the people that come there are also very passionate about it. And you're never going to find it again. That's all I have to say.
Welcome.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. I'm Jane Vandenberg, and I also am a resident of Ozello. And ironically, this morning, my husband and I went on Ozello Trail on our bicycles, which at some points on the weekend you might not want to do. But on a Tuesday morning, on a pleasant day, we went all the way out to Pirates Cove, sat on the picnic bench, watched a couple boats launch and kayakers launch, and looked over at the piece of property that is up for sale. Of course, right now it's all overgrown. I understand that's also a good place for people to use the bathroom and all that. So making it into a park with a wonderful sign that says that we have gotten money from conservation sources or whatever would be really an addition that I think I feel strongly about. I'm also willing to help Cecilia, whatever we can do to get, some other funding for it. Tourism is the nature coast. And we might not have the 300,000 people yet, but believe me, with all the tourists that come out on Ozello Trail, and again, Tuesday morning's one thing, but Saturdays and Sundays, that trail is busy. And people that live in Floral City and people that live in Inverness, I had to drive here from Ozello to come to a county commission meetings. People from there are welcome to come out to Ozello and see the beautiful sunsets. We are all part of this county. We pay taxes, and I really do hope you support the initiative to just find a price for this thing, and then we can move forward.
Great, thank you. Next speaker, please.
I'm back again.
Yes, sir.
Terry Sullivan from Floral City. I don't live at Ozella. I fish at Ozella, and it's a fun place to navigate out there. You better know where you're going or you'll encounter an oyster bar.
You will.
Without any problem. But one thing I was hoping, my big issue is the boat ramp fees and all, is the fees that are collected, I would hope this would be a similar project, that would be something that would be a good use of those fees to improve those parks and stuff like that, those little marine parks and all. The parking lot out there right now is too small to begin with, and on really high tides goes underwater anyway, so you'd be parking in about 4, 5, 6 inches of water sometimes on high tides. But anyway, it's a pretty little area, and I'm one that supports parks, so, and
Okay. All right, is there any other speakers? Any other speakers? Seeing none, I'll close it, and I'm gonna jump out there real quick. One thing about Ozella, I've been here 52 years, I grew up in Ozella, okay? If you go down Salt River, there's a old rock house, and there's another camp, that's Carnahan Island. I grew up there as a kid. I fished in Ozella, brought all my mullet in Ozella, and on and on and on. So I'm as passionate to Ozella as anybody, okay? But again, if this property was so valuable and it was so it's been for sale for, I can't even imagine how long, but again, not gonna support it. And you know, here's what I'm gonna tell some of you commissioners. Why don't you reach out to the city of Inverness' manager? Why don't you have a conversation with him about all the stuff they just built and what kind of burden it puts on you? And I'm telling you now, y'all are crazy if you don't think what we're fixing to endure on fixing roads that are flooded, on fixing if you don't think for 5 seconds spending any kind of money, if we're not going to have to look at raising taxes, I'll sell you a bridge out there in Arizona, because I'm here to tell you what we're enduring right now with rain. Look at all the rain we got yesterday. The water's not receding. Okay, I drove all around yesterday, and we've got major issues coming, and I'm telling you guys, you better start packing away some money, because you're not getting funding for this. So anyway, but when it comes to Ozella, I'm probably more familiar with Ozella than anybody, because that's where I grew up at.
I understand that this is a request to negotiate a purchase price. I didn't hear that the taxes would be raised. I also don't think it's fair to say, bring in the animal shelter, because the taxes aren't being raised to build a new animal shelter. And I think that is confusing the issue, and it's a rabbit trail or gaslighting or whatever you want to call it. But I don't appreciate the animal shelter keep being brought up, because we are not raising taxes to build an animal shelter. And if you are serious about grants and you're serious about donations like I have done for the animal shelter, and people are passionate enough, you can get it purchased without raising taxes. And I'm very serious about that.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Kitchen,
how much is the animal shelter gonna cost us?
at the end, it's gonna cost about $12 million.
In the
okay?
end, nobody knows.
Excuse
In the
me.
end,
No,
hold
well,
on,
see-
he's got the floor.
Let me just say, nobody knows, okay? So what I've heard today, it's a done deal, it's all taken care of, but we don't know what it's gonna cost. Last I heard, there hadn't even been a final decision on the location. And, so anyway, don't get all upset and lean back or
I
whatever. I'm
am
just saying,
upset.
well, wait a minute, you just called me a gaslighter, so let's come back and let's, let's be careful what we say, because words have consequences, okay? All I said is that I ended up going along with this because Commissioner Carnahan came up with the idea of, we'll fund it this way. There was no funding source identified for that animal shelter until he brought it up, okay? And donations. There hasn't been anywhere near $12 to $14 million, and I pointed out to you, it's gonna cost you $20 million to borrow $12 million. So don't say you know what it's gonna cost, because the design hasn't even been done. All I said, if you wanna say it's a done deal, it's a done deal, but it will cause taxpayers to go up. It will cause future tax increases when those principal payments have to start kicking in. It didn't cause one this year because a very small amount of that interest was included in this year's budget, not next year's. So,
We didn't even bond it yet.
right, so that's a whole different discussion. So don't say you don't want to keep being brought up, because I'm going to bring it up every meeting when there's a discussion, when people go, well, we didn't know this and we didn't know that. Okay, that's why I voted against it, because you guys shut me down on trying to get more data to find out what it's gonna cost and what's the best way to do it. Okay, I understand, that's the way the game's played. Okay, so it's not gaslighting and it's not subterfuge to bring these other things up. What I'm pointing out is this commission continues to spend money and propose to spend money without identifying the source. And then you say it's not gonna cost us one dime. Okay, well, it will, because every dime we spend, let's think about this realistically, people. Every dime that's in the Duke Fund should be the general fund. We should have taken that money and put it into the general fund, but we said, no, we're gonna have these little projects we wanna carve out and do. The money that's not spent is supposed to go back to reducing people's taxes, and we did away with that. Remember the Commissioner's Savings Account? That just disappeared.
anymore.
We don't have it anymore. So all the things that we did to buy down the rate and buy down the millage rate is gone, okay? So now, as we continue to identify these other funding sources, And it's the same thing. You know, first, remember, the only reason I went along with the boat ramp fees is it was specifically to expand parking for boat trailers. Then I heard him say, well, maybe we can use that for enforcement, because enforcement is a big problem. Well, that's an absolute breaking of the promise that we told people about the collecting of the boat ramp fees. So all I'm saying is, with all good intentions, government has a tendency to have mission creep, and we start going off in all these different directions. So it's not that I don't think it's a good idea, but until somebody stands up here and says, we pay for it with this much from here, and this much from here, and this much from here, and again, like I said, I won't be here, but I'm going to be in my rocking chair reading when I see how much the tax rates go up when the bills from decisions made this year start hitting 2 and 3 and 4 years from now. And that's exactly what we're going to see. So I told Doug when I leave, I'm going to leave him a sheet of paper with my predictions. And you know, whoever's here, I'm going to ask that be read on a date, and we'll see how right I am, because as you pointed out, the Depot District in Inverness is learning.
City manager.
They're learning a lesson. So do what we do, have the discussions we have, but let's keep the emotional name calling down. Let's keep focused on the facts in front of us. And again, I have not said anything that I can't back up with statistics and data. I'll present to you how much money's been spent from the TDC fund and where it comes from. We've told constantly, you have no idea where the gas tax goes. We know exactly where it goes, and I keep getting told it's 15 cents. It's not 15 cents, you know? So we need to understand what it is we're talking about before we start throwing these things out. So obviously, you know, I know I'm going to be on the losing side of this. I'm just trying to look down the road, because I plan on living here even when I retire. I plan on, you know, you guys are going to be hitting me in my wallet. And I'm promised the citizens years ago that I would listen to them. Not what I liked, not when I rode down the street and what I saw. I would listen to them, and if I agreed with them, they should elect me, and if I didn't agree with them, they shouldn't. And I just keep hearing so much about, well, I like this and I like that, so let's do this. And it doesn't come back to what the citizens expect. And to me, Mr. Chair, and I know we're probably just killing time till 5 o'clock. That's what we're doing. But anyway, I think what we're up against here now is that we just need to have some kind of plan that says, when an idea comes forward, it's totally listed out, and this is where the money comes from. Because we're on the hook. You know, we're moving down the path to do things, and we still, to this day, don't know what the cost is. So, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
I'd like to,
you have the floor.
Okay. And I don't like gaslighting, and I am feeling that there are times that it's about that, and I didn't say you were gaslighting, but I want to make sure I'm not gaslighted in this either. And that's why I have my questions. But we agreed on $9 million for an animal shelter. We agreed on a place for the animal shelter. And for Randy, did you just say you didn't even know where we were getting the funding? Because I thought we agreed on. What did you say?
That's not.
I didn't say anything.
He didn't
You
say
all
one
been
damn
doing the
word.
talking.
That's exactly
Well, he
right.
shook his head.
didn't
You
say
shook
one
your
word.
head. Do
What
we
was,
not
my
have-
recollection of what was approved was it was 8.5 million.
Yes.
Not to exceed for debt. And that, we gave you, the number that we currently had, and that any contributions you received were gonna go towards niceties to make the building better, and anything from land sales were gonna go to reduce the debt. That was
It's at
my
the front-
recollection.
It was at the front of the property there, but that was
On
settled.
491.
Yes, thank you. So all these things, that's what I'm saying about, there's things said, but that, I don't even know why the animal shelter's brought up, because it's about this. And I really don't know where I'm standing, and it's now getting me upset, because I feel like I wish the animal shelter hadn't, I don't want to be, I want to make the right decision, but if it's not going to raise the taxes, that is important to know, and now I'm getting two different answers.
Well,
Mr. Chair? Can I respond?
Real quick, as the chairman of the board, okay? What Commissioner is bringing up, he's not pointing finger. What he's telling this board is this. Okay, we agreed to it 8.5 million, but at the time that was made, there wasn't a funding source. And I came back and made a recommendation. It was shot down kind of, and then I brought it back as an agenda item, and y'all agreed to take the land sales for a source, okay? But all the commissioner, and again, I'm gonna keep this in control here. All this commissioner is trying to tell you is 8.5 million, when you bond it, is gonna cost you 12 or 14, depending on what, okay? So that payment's not gonna start coming due until after we bond it here shortly. And again, we have a lot of infrastructure. All he's saying is, be careful what you wish for, because I could almost guarantee, just like he said, and again, I think some commissioners would have kept the tax rate, which would have been a tax increase this year. If you keep the same tax rate, that is by law, by the state of Florida, is a tax increase. And I'll tell you what's very interesting. This board has a tremendous amount of respect for the leaders in Tallahassee. And I sat in a leader's office last week or 2 weeks ago on a Wednesday. Small county coalitions tried to present an idea on sales tax, that you can only leverage 1%, so they're trying to get them to raise 2%. That, because some of them are maxed out. Okay, so if they could get 2%, and they get legislative to pass it, then they could get some money to go towards jails and things that they're building. That leader looked at us or looked at them and said, absolutely not. That's a tax increase, and I can guarantee you he'll veto it. And it's a leader that we all respect tremendously. And what we're fixing to do is, that was even allowing them to pass it, to put it on a referendum for the taxpayers of the county to vote on. And they wouldn't even do that. Okay, so again, our leaders considered a tax increase, and what we're fixing to do, have a conversation here shortly, is should we increase our sales tax? And our leaders in Tallahassee consider that a tax increase. And again, so that's why this commissioner just bringing it up, just reminding you that as a conservative Republican, you're supposed to keep your taxes down and do everything you can. But with the way the spending has been going here lately, you're going to have to increase. So that's kind of summing up there.
Mr. Chair, we have gotten way off track here. Again, all that I'm asking for here is for us to direct staff to negotiate a purchase price. I have said unequivocally, I have not advocated for taking any funds from the general fund for purchasing this piece of property. In fact, I think I've been very clear about what the proposed funding source would be, that the first step is to try and get it out of the state in a grant that is specifically for expanding parks. If that fails, or if there isn't enough there, then we look to using the impact fee money that we currently collect specifically for expanding parks in that district, in District 1. There are other pots as well, none of which would result in a tax increase, not one penny. So the idea of throwing this stuff out there, throwing enough mud on the wall so that it clouds the issue, there is no tax increase coming from the purchase of this piece of property whatsoever. So hang on, I've got the floor. So would there be additional maintenance in mowing it? Yep, they would have to go out there and mow it. That would be some degree of increase in paying somebody while they're out there addressing the existing boat ramp to mow that piece of property. But in acquiring this piece of property, which we're not even doing yet, I'm just asking to negotiate the price, there's not a single dollar in increased taxes that would be required. You brought up one issue, or one of the issues that you brought up was the crazy amount of money, a tremendous amount of money that the city of Inverness spent on building their depot district and so forth like that. That was their city council's decision, the city manager leading them down that road. But I'd also remind you that the Inverness City Council just cut their millage rate a half a mil. So, I don't know what was involved in that, if it's the new growth, if it's the new commercial growth, how they fare. But I've got a tremendous amount of respect for their city manager And that was what he brought forward to them. So, you know, let's don't muddy this issue too much. We've got a motion, we've got a second on the floor.
And it's back in discussion in front of the commission.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so the commissioners have the floor at this point. Okay, so with that being said, you know, what I did here is Cecilia saying they would take it on as a group out there to buy this piece of property, just like Homosassa did. They would negotiate, why don't we get a group together to go negotiate the price instead of having our staff do it? I mean, to me, that would be the right thing to do, and I can support that.
It's an expansion of an existing park. I think it's our job for the staff to negotiate this price, and then absolutely, I will recruit their help in getting to Tallahassee and trying to get some grant money to pay for this.
All right, so, yes, sir.
Two very quick questions, if Commissioner Kennard
can't
wants
come
to
back up.
answer them. My understanding is we have basically 500 to 700,000 in appraisals, and the owner doesn't think that's enough. So obviously, he wants more than that. I believe I heard Commissioner Kennard say 190,000 was in impact fees. Was that the number?
That was somewhere else.
So where's the rest of it? You just said it wouldn't come from taxpayer dollars, guaranteed. So using round numbers, even if it was 700,000, where's the other 500,000 come from?
First spot I'm going to look is, well, the first spot I'm going to look for all of it is in grant money.
Okay, you don't get that. But you just guaranteed us that not one penny would come from taxpayer dollars, but
From
you haven't
gen-
identified where the money's gonna come from.
From general fund.
The money will come from the general fund.
No, I said it will not come.
Well, that's
from
what I'm saying. So where is the other 500,000 coming from?
You're saying if the grant is unsuccessful.
Right.
Then I would come back, depending on the purchase price, then I would come back, my first look would be towards impact fees.
190,000.
Right. Then I would look to the TDC, and then I would look towards the Duke Special Funds money.
Real quick,
And see if those, you know, those pots of money, is enough to get us there, whatever the purchase price ends up being.
Guys, I'm gonna tell you something. We have spent so much Duke money, and we only get a certain amount a year, but every time Randy, haven't we spent over $2 million of Duke money guaranteed at different places? I don't know how the hell
We
you-
have no unbudgeted amount of money, if you
But we
take,
always keep bringing that up, but Duke
Yeah.
money, we only got a certain amount of Duke money, and we've guaranteed money here and guaranteed money there, so I don't see how you're
we,
getting it out of Duke money.
we have no additional Duke money that's unbudgeted
There
at
you
this
go. All right,
point
thank you.
with $1 million caveat that's out there for the Fort Island Trail.
There you go. Thank you.
Now, all of this is predicated on failure of the grant. And again, all I'm asking for at this point is for them to negotiate a price. That doesn't cost us a dime.
Well, Mr. Chair, again, with all due respect, you've just made two conflicting comments. You said you guaranteed no money would come from the taxpayers, and then you said, but this is all predicated on money coming from the state. So I'm asking for the worst-case scenario. Worst-case scenario, what I've heard, again, rounding off 190 to 200, we're $500,000 short, and you haven't identified the funding source.
Oh, I did. And I didn't say none of it would come
The
from
Duke money, the Duke money is general fund money. It's just money that we keep in a separate account, and we haven't slid it over there, you know, so.
I said none of it would come from the general fund. I didn't say none of it would come from taxpayers, because much of the grant money that comes out of Tallahassee, I'm sure, is taxpayer money.
Well, again, all I'm saying,
So-
just for the record, is there's no identified funding source, period. That's what I'm saying, so.
I'm not suggesting we purchase it yet.
If I may help our colleague out, I would say the worst-case scenario is that the grant money fails and we simply don't purchase the property because we didn't do the fundraising or the granting or anything else. Because I already said, if I'm not happy with the funding sources when we get to that point, then I'll tap out. So you won't have the votes. So the worst-case scenario is that we lose this wonderful piece of property to expand the park.
Let me make one point. I believe in putting all the cards on the table. If you will, state law requires this. If you have to get 2 appraisals for the property, the amount that you can offer is half of the average appraised value. Any amount above half of the appraised value requires a supermajority vote of the board.
There you go.
Somebody just answered the question, Mr. Chair.
That might have.
Half of the appraised value?
No. half of the
I
difference.
probably didn't say it, no, it's.
Halfway between the
If
two.
you have an appraisal for 700 and 500, the maximum you can offer is
Six.
600 unless you, and if the board says, no, I want to offer 650, that then takes a supermajority vote of the board.
Got it.
Okay, are we done discussing?
I'm done.
Are we done? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Passes 3-2. All
Chair, if I
right.
may, you skipped over K, probably because I did my committee report last.
Okay, hold on, just give me 1 second, Commissioner.
Oh, you spoke.
That was the committee reports, not,
I went to that.
right after committee report is asking if I had anything.
I
You
did do
went
that,
to,
too.
you went to, no, I did committee reports. Be that as it may, I just wanted to say, the town hall has been delayed, and I would like y'all's opinion on January 8th or January 29th. Both of them are Saturdays. And instead of doing 2 Saturdays, picking one of those Saturdays and then float the idea of doing a weeknight starting at 5:30 as the second opportunity. Just wanted to see what y'all thought of that. Town hall,
One more time.
January 8th, January
everybody-
29th. Both of those are Saturdays. Pick one of those two. I checked football, but I'd be appreciative if there's any big hunting, fishing, football, something that the county is going to go, yes, I can't be there. And then I wanted to float the idea of whether, because UCF has been adamant that Saturdays are better, but I've also heard that people don't want to give up a weekend, that they would rather do 5:30 at night after work and go to 9:30, whatever it takes. It's 3.5 to 4 hours, but it's very interactive and actually engaging and not as horrible as it sounds.
So you wish to speak?
You're running the show.
Yes, sir.
That's,
Oh, no,
that's my
hold on
question,
there.
and I
Okay,
would just
that's-
like everybody's opinion, although
Never mind, never mind.
My opinion is,
we already know your opinion, Chair.
again, you're not gonna have the participation, the board's gonna change, and views are gonna differ, and so, it's very disappointing. And again, whether you have it in person or not, last I checked, we weren't even close to 100 participants, and again, anyway, so.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
I'd just say it's your event. You
Yeah,
pick
there
a
you go.
date and
That's
and
what
do
I
it.
say.
I mean, that's.
Just I'm just floating it out there if anybody has a big issue with any of those dates, but we'll just go forward. But if you have, do you think, I have 2 folks that are, and thank you both, shout out to Jody for doing the last minute commercial, and thank you for both of you for being willing to do that. Is a weeknight a good second time?
I
versus
asked
2
that
Saturdays?
question when I spoke to the homeowners, Kensington homeowners, not a homeowners association. It's a homeowners group that they differentiate themselves, not as an actual association, but there were probably, I want to say there were 60, 70 people in the room, and they didn't really have a preference for a Saturday or a weekday. There seemed to be general interest in it. And I asked if it would change anybody's mind or greater attendance if we did one in a week, on a weeknight, and didn't seem to make any difference.
Okay,
I would prefer a weeknight.
okay. Thank you. I appreciate the opinion, so that's all I had.
All right, Commissioner Slayball.
Nothing, sir.
Okay, Commissioner Kitchen.
Nothing.
And I don't have anything. Madam Attorney?
Thank you, I have nothing.
Okay, and we will go to open to the public. Would anybody like to speak? The podium is open.
I would like to attend that town hall. I also want to say that this has probably been something that's very interesting for me to come here to see these town commission, the commissions meetings. And we have a lot of problems, I understand, in the county. But one thing I will have to say is that even though we disagree, we can come together and actually work these out. And I appreciate the time and effort that all of you put into this job. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that'd like to speak? Anybody else? Going once, twice? Okay, we will close that portion. Our next upcoming meeting is, actually, we have a workshop starting at 8 a.m. on November 9th, and it will be a good one on a lot of, I forget what, the first one's at what? On what? On the
Waterfront
9th?
setbacks.
Stormwater runoff? And then there's setbacks and waterfront setbacks, but that will start at 8 a.m. on the 9th. Then our regular meeting will be at 1 o'clock here in the chambers. And with that, we will recess till 5:01. All right, we're going to reconvene for our 5:01 public hearings. With that, our first one, Randy, you want to go ahead and take this one? Oh, here it is.
Yeah, this is an ordinance of Citrus County, Florida, political subdivision of the state of Florida, amending the Citrus County Land Development Code Atlas and the Beverly Hills Development of Regional Impact to redesignate approximately 14.2 acres from Life Care Center to Business Commercial / Office, redesignate approximately 28.5 acres from Life Care Center to multifamily, and to allow Life Care Center uses in certain multifamily areas, providing for applicability, providing for modifications that may arise from consideration at public hearing, providing for codification in Scrivener errors, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stillwell.
And Commissioner, Chairman, excuse me, but I don't know if you were asked about quasi judicial on whether you had any.
We need to ask that for sure.
Right.
So you want to ask that question?
So, right, so we have two applications that are quasi judicial today, PUD 2106 and CPAAA PUD 2111. We're asking if you have any ex parte communications.
We'll start down with Ms. Davis. Mr. Davis?
No.
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 No. All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Stillwell.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Clark Stillwell. I represent the applicant, Tuscany Ranch Partners 2 LLC. This is a modification to the Beverly Hills DRI, an existing development order that has been around since 1981. So who's driving the bus? Okay. This is an aerial of the subject site and encompasses drainage retention area, a utility site, the LLC site, which is Life Care. It involves BCO, which is generally commercial, and involves a multifamily designation for 6 units per acre, and this is on the southwest corner of Forest Ridge Boulevard and 491. Gentlemen and ladies, if you remember, about a year ago, the internal strip median in there was downzoned from office to open space, linear open space. So let's go to the next one. This is the existing DRI. It shows the 3 uses we just discussed. The BCO district, that's the commercial district there along 491 in the southwest corner, is 6 acres, of which 1.5 acres is the right-of-way for the reverse frontage road. The multifamily is 10.5 acres, that's MS4. And then the LLC 1 is the Life Care Center, that's 400 units. There's a drainage retention area there, and then there's that strip, which is not involved in this application, but that's a 50-foot buffer that is part of the existing drainage DRI and will not be changed. So the DRI, unlike your plan, defines both acreages and build-out. The original build-out of this project, the whole thing, was 7,500 residential units and 400 units for the Life Care Center, over 350,000 square feet of commercial, and 125,000 square feet of office. Now, all that commercial, all that office, it's a mile, 3.5 miles south. Okay, so we're just talking about this little center, but that was the original approval in 1981. What we're doing here is we're changing acreages, but we're not changing units, and we're not changing square feet. So the BCO will go from 6.10 acres to approximately 20.26 acres, but the allowable development on that site cannot be increased. It remains the same. Same's true for the multifamily, it goes to 35.17 acres, but the number of units cannot be increased. And then the LLC, it gets spread out within the development. So let's go to the next one, if we can. This is the existing map. SR 15 is Oakwood Village. You can see the drainage retention area, and U2 is a utility site for the expansion of Beverly Hills or Rolling Oaks Utility. Next one, please. So this is the matrix that's found within the development order. You can see where we changed the Life Care Center and spread those units out throughout the multifamily area. Commissioners, you do not have one ACLF, senior living facility, adult care that's more than 150 units. And this particular project puts 400 units in one spot. And that's a lot, and it's not what the market wants. So what we've done with that is we've taken and spread it throughout the development so that it meets the market and it serves the people that are intended to live there. All right, let's go to the next one. Well, this is lovely. This is the matrix, and it's ill readable. Let's go to the next one. That's it? All right. Let's go back. Come on. All right. So, Commissioners, Exhibit H in your exhibits to this application shows a proposed potential site plan for the BCO. It shows it on approximately 10 acres. Just to put that in perspective for you, the commercial public shopping center at the south end of Forest Ridge Boulevard in Citrus Hills is approximately 12 acres. So this would be consummate with that same type of use. The limit, again, the multifamily area adds more space, more open space, and squares up the parcel and gives it greater flexibility. And the LLC is spread throughout all the multifamily units up and down that road. There's no increase in intensity. There's no increase in density. There's no increase in traffic. The traffic for this project is vested, and this doesn't change the amount of vested trips. The frontage road required by the DRI remains. We've talked about the ability to create flexibility in the site planning because you got more acreage. And as the drainage retention area there will not change, and the buffer area to the west will not change. I know that you received a comment from the people in Oak Village. The only thing I can say to you is there's no connection between these two projects with the exception of a stub out, and those stub outs are normally treated when the other side develops. They create an emergency access point only, so there's no through traffic allowed between SR 15 and the new MF4 district. The planning staff report has found this to be consistent with your comp plan. They found it to meet concurrency, and they found it to be compatible with the surrounding land uses in the Central Ridge area. The conditions, I believe we have 4.
Looks like 5.
Plus the one you offered afterwards
Right.
about legal.
Okay. The 5 conditions are acceptable. Basically, the 5th one requires us to submit an actual survey and an actual acreage count at the time of development.
Okay.
Are there any questions?
Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Stillwell? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Two.
And Mr. Stillwell has talked quite a bit about this. This is proposing to change from Life Care Center 14.2 acres and from Life Care Center to multifamily of 28.5. Murray Street is just off the picture here, and there is the buffer between the Life Care Center and Murray Street. He talked a little bit about the connection to Oak Village. You can see a little stub out there. That is a requirement generally of plating. It's not being affected by this particular application. This was sent to, well, here's not much to see. It's very vacant. There's a couple slabs, and that's about it. This was sent to everybody in Beverly Hills plus 500 feet outside of it. Caused some confusion, but there wasn't a way around that. What this also included was a text amendment. Besides that land use change, they are also proposing that within the multifamily district, they can also have a life care center, but no more than the 400 units that are already permitted. So the orange on the master plan are the multifamily areas. This is not proposed to change any designations to multifamily. These are all existing. They're not built, but they're all existing. And that would also allow an assisted living facility. So the PDC did review this on August 19th, 2021, and recommended approval with the 4 conditions. And as you can see, this is very much a bubble plan. This was an early concept of a bubble plan. We don't have a good legal for where these zoning lines, district lines are. So Mr. Stillwell has offered to give a good legal when they actually develop. We know the acreage amount, but we don't know exactly what that meets and bounds is going to be. So condition 5 was added to address that.
Okay. Do we have any questions for Ms. Coutu? Okay, thank you. All right, with that, I'll open it up to the public hearing. Is there anybody here to speak for or against?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Come on up. Welcome.
Here you go, man. Good afternoon, Honorable Commissioners. My name is George Prescott. I represent myself as well as Oakwood Village Homeowners Association. You've received an email from us for some of the items that we were addressing. If you don't mind, I want to back up 1 second and say hi to my wife. She's in Montana watching, because we were watching this afternoon online. So thank y'all for that, by the way.
Aw.
It is nice to be able to see it and not necessarily have to come in person unless we have input. So our concerns, and I think some of it was actually touched on, but I still have, I would say, a concern that there is going to be an increase in traffic if there are homes built versus a life care center. And right there where Forest Ridge meets Lecanto Highway, that goes from 4 lanes down to 2, and it's uncertain whether that would actually be widened to accommodate traffic or additional traffic there, because there's also going to be business built. And our neighborhood actually experiences through traffic already on Lincoln. And while it may seem like it's a distance from that particular property, it doesn't seem like it matters. Traffic is tries to find a way around other traffic, and it winds up being through our neighborhood. And we would just ask that to be considered as well. The storm basins were talked about there. In our initial build out for Oakwood Village, it was phase 1 and 2. One of those drainage areas was considered and engineered for our neighborhood, as well as the Forest Ridge. I can't speak to the other drainage area where Beverly Hills utilizes, but that is a concern. Looking at flood maps, you can see the potential if additional water is down there where Note 6 is along our neighborhood. If additional waters, there is potential for future flooding. Okay, so the thought is whether you approve this or not, at least just to address our concerns, and that is that that stub out, while it may get approved now and may not be something that would be utilized, the potential exists that it could be utilized. And just ask that if it is a way that it can either be turned over to the homeowners association so that it cannot be used, because I just know how zoning things have a tendency to get changed later on down the road. Also, for Lincoln, which happens to go through our neighborhood, is that we ask that some type of traffic calming would be installed in that area, especially if additional cars are added to the road, because it winds up being a raceway down through there. And there are public safety as well as fire safety items that could be installed that would help with that. And also a buffer while there's the... Is that 3 or 4?
You got to finish up.
Is it? Okay. Is that 3 or 5? I'm sorry.
You get 3 minutes.
No, sir. I said I was
sorry.
representing the HOA.
You did say that. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, George.
I'm gonna go ahead and give you, I'm gonna go ahead and give it to you, but you need to have it on beforehand, but go ahead.
I did, sir. Okay?
Sorry.
Thank you for throwing me off on that.
No,
So anyway,
sorry.
buffer. There is a buffer that's talked about. That happens to just be a power line. And no, that's not going to get changed. But we would like to have an additional buffer along our neighborhood, since even at the conception of our neighborhood in the 80s, there was a 50-foot buffer. Although it doesn't happen to have one on that Colbert Avenue right there. The 4-lane highway, we'd prefer that to be developed first beforehand, rather than have that construction without that, just to accommodate, because that will be a traffic hazard there at that light. And then stormwater, we would like to not see the current stormwater areas utilized in their calculations for this if it's developed. All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir. Is there anybody else to speak for or against? Come right on up. Welcome.
Hi,
How are
my name
you?
is Amory Hoffman, and thank you for having me and allowing me to speak. First, I live on Murray Street, which is the area for the LLC proposal, and that green strip right there is currently where I live. How is that going to impact not only my home, but my family's home? My mother lives 3 houses up, and where that red parcel is, I would like to know how is that going to impact her and people that live right behind, right in front of that parcel. Is that going to decrease the value of my home? Do I have to worry about moving? And also, the traffic on Murray Street is already impacted negatively. I can't tell you how many times I've seen trucks, dump trucks, cars, speeding up and down that road all hours of the day, all hours of the night, and there are many, many children that live on that street. I am very afraid that if that area gets developed, we could potentially have many accidents because people don't pay attention to their speed, and there could be people getting hit, running into buildings, especially houses. I can't tell you how many times where my house was almost hit, and thank God I have a tree in front of my house. And I would like to know why is it being changed from why are you changing it from a life care center to multifamily? Why can't you just leave the parcel just be as it is? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else to speak for or against? I need you to fill a green card up. Is there anybody else to speak for or against?
Hi, how are you?
Good.
My name's Christy McKinnon. I just moved in the area. Here you go, sweetie. So, I personally lived in this area, and I lived in Citrus County for 3 years in different areas, okay? The community that we're in and you're trying to build, I understand the community wants to build and increase their value and make it better. I understand that. But where they're dividing it and trying to build something nice in this area is going to destroy the area that's already there. The community, the animals. I have a family of beautiful turtles right in my backyard. Rabbits. I live in a beautiful neighborhood. You bring in a multifamily, which I am very familiar with. You don't know who you're bringing in, what you're bringing into this community. So the value of it could go up or down. You don't know how it's really going to go. The traffic is awful. It is. You got the nice side across is a nice, where we live is a nice area. Across is different. You bring on all this traffic, it will have people, you never know, leave the area. The flooding will get worse because now you're building into a beautiful complex and you don't know how the flooding is going to be when we have the storms. The traffic on that street is horrible, so it's going to bring in more. And I understand developers want to develop, but why develop on a close area in a public area when we have plenty of land that's open and you could build it all in one area without destroying other people's homes and the value of their homes and the worries of what's gonna happen in the neighborhood when it's been, I don't know how long it's been here, but it's been a good area. And how is it gonna affect everything around? That's my concern.
Okay.
And thank you very much for having me. This is all very new, never been here, never been caught, don't know everything that's going on, but I did want to have a say of it because you're building something in a great neighborhood and bringing it all in, and you have to consider the whole area and how you want to take this value up or down. And you don't know how it's going to turn out. It could turn out good, it could help the community, or it could turn out the worst. Me, I love my area, and it's very comfortable, and I have a beautiful, beautiful kids, autistic. I don't want it to get more traffic, more dangerous, because I walk every day.
Okay.
And walking them, and I just take into consideration of people around and everything. And I'm glad they want the community to build or to get us better. But why build where there's so many close houses that's been there, and it's been good, no problems, the community's been good. Everything's been calm, so why add? Why can't add somewhere else?
All righty, thank you.
Sorry, my time. Thank you. Have a great day, you guys. Appreciate your time.
All right, is there anybody else to speak for or against? Anybody else to speak for or against? All right, with that, we're gonna go ahead and close the public portion of it. Mr. Stillwell, do you want to address any of the questions that were brought up?
I just want to say that, for the benefit of the board and for the public, the developer's requirement at 3,000 units is 3,000 units all over the project, not
Right.
just this area, is they're required to dedicate an additional 50 feet of right-of-way from Unit 1 there at Murray Street all the way up around the corner to facilitate the expansion of 491. And that's their responsibility. The total amount of traffic that this project will generate is not going to increase. What will happen, because the site plan Exhibit H, the application shows that the reverse frontage road comes down, and we intentionally brought it down to the multifamily area, and then we run it along the border of the multifamily area in the new BCC area. That's going to allow that multifamily area to have multiple access points versus just one on Forest Ridge Boulevard. So I think we've done better. I do know that if you read the original ADA, Drainage Retention 6 was designed to incorporate everything within its drainage basin, which would include all of those parcels we're talking about, plus some other areas across Forest Ridge Boulevard.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioners,
You want me to start? It's my district. Is it
you have the
okay?
floor. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, thank you for coming. I'm sorry I didn't get your names, but this is my district. I've lived in this district the whole, almost 25 and a half years. And as far as the value of your property, truthfully, your property values are gonna go up. And most likely, when you have a community that is designed and laid out, and we have our building department making sure that it is up to the standards that we want, it's going to most likely increase property. I don't understand why people are going so fast down Murray Street, and I don't know, I will reach out to the sheriff about that, because that is a very short area. I have a house on DeSoto, and I run that route, and it doesn't make sense to me. And why they're building on that property is because they own the property. And that's where they've owned it and they want to build there. It's not like, oh, let's just move it somewhere else, because that's what happens. And District 3 is my district. We don't flood.
All right, with that, Commissioners, looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Kennard.
I make a motion we approve this, adopt and authorize the chairman to execute the ordinance for PUD 21-06, and direct the clerk to execute the ordinance.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner
Second.
Kennard, second by Commissioner Davis. Commissioners, is there any other comments?
Sorry.
Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. T2. Mr. Stillwell, this is the CPA-A-PUD-21-11, Clark Stillwell for the Dameron Family Trust.
Good evening again, Commissioners. On behalf of the Dameron Family Trust, we submit to you a three-part application. This is a major map amendment greater than 10 acres, and this is the transmittal hearing. So if you vote tonight to transmit it, you still, within about 75 days later, will come back with the opportunity to review the regional comments and vote up or down. At the PDC, we took about 3.5 hours. We're not going to do that tonight.
Thank you.
Let's go to the PowerPoint and we'll go through this very quickly. I think you'll see it. This is the site. You can see the LKQ site. You can see the Dameron family properties all outlaid. Basically, the Dameron properties are pasture. Let's go to the next one. This is your G-flume map, and it shows the industrial, that's the striped portion, and then it shows low-density residential for the Dameron property along 486 and all the way to the south. Thank you. So we're going to change this to GNC to a depth of 500 feet along 486, and then we're going to change 833 feet of the southern portion, approximately 44 some acres, to industrial on the G-flume. Next one, this is your LDC Atlas map, and you can see it already has a bit of a commercial component. That's the PSO component, and then the LDR MH, and that's mobile home, and then you can see the LKQ industrial to the west, some LDR to the east, and then large lot LDR to the south. Across the street, 300 feet of right-of-way corridor is RUR, but that's actually Citrus Springs in the master plan for that. In that area, calls for a 25-foot buffer and then a large lot residential. So, again, this shows the changes. Here's the proposed. Joe. Here. This is the proposed area we're changing, but I point this out to you because there's two parcels to the south that represents 1,320 feet of property. It's not within the PUD, but is owned by the applicant, and it is intended to be a buffer, an additional buffer area. If you look at the south boundary, and this is important because there's a discussion of setback, you can see south of LKQ, FDOT has already acquired 2 parcels. You have 2 vacant parcels, then you have another FDOT parcel, and then you have some vacant parcels. Now, in the southeast corner where it says single family, that piece is developed. Ms. Owens has reached out to that person, and they are in agreement with the PUD. We meet the site plan setbacks for that developed parcel on the PUD site plan. We'll talk about that. You can see across the street is Gulf to Lakes Associates, the Citrus County School Board, their consent letters of record, and the YMCA has authorized me to say they have no objection to this.
Okay.
Next one, please. The code has a specific section for auto salvage yards, and it basically says if you're abutting residential, you're going to have a 200-foot setback. If you're abutting anything else, it's 75 feet. Those are pretty big buffers. So if we didn't change the 20-some acres along the road right away, we would have had that 200-foot buffer apply. So we're changing it, and the 75-foot buffer applies there. To the south, we're asking for a deviation to approve a 75-foot buffer. If you approve this, you're talking about approximately 13.5 acres out of the 40-some acres listed there, 46, that is actually going to be used for auto storage. The rest of it's all open space and drainage. The reason we've asked for this is, again, going back to that prior slide, you have the FDOT parcels, which are not going to be developed in single-family residential use. And then you have 1,300 feet owned by the the Dameron family, which is an abutting property owner. So that narrows that whole strip down to about 75% won't be residential. And quite frankly, when we get through these exhibits and you see the maps of the expansion of the Suncoast Parkway, all three of those strips that have yet to be acquired will be acquired by FDOT. Okay, let's go. Who is LKQ? Frankly, when I got hired, I knew they sold auto parts. And I got out and got educated, so I thought it was important that I bring this to you. And it's very straightforward. Publicly traded company, NASDAQ, excellent environmental record. And I don't want to say that they're here. They're not going to speak. They're here to answer questions if you have any. So let's go. Here we go. Now, the existing LKQ storage area, it has a wall, and this is it, and this is what we're going to put up, and it meets your code design standards. Next one. This is a BMW that is in need of repair, for lack of actually. The reason I brought this to you is because I wanted you to see that these automobiles that sit out there in this open storage area are basically stripped. Now, this is a little better than some of the others, but you can see there's no wheels, there's no engine, there's no fluids, and I wanted you to see the compact base that they put these on, which is equivalent almost to asphalt, but it's, that's where they store them on. So let's go to the next one. Some more foreign cars that are in need of repair. Next one. So this is the Suncoast Parkway extension, the projected map. I'm sure you're all familiar with this. As you can see, it cuts right through the area south of LKQ and south of this particular project. Let's go to the next one. This is a more detailed map. You do have a letter from a person that is located 1,000 feet south of this project, and they indicated the concern that we were not maintaining that 200-foot buffer that I spoke to earlier. That person, the elevation on the Dameron property is at 76 feet, and they're at 62 feet per the maps in our application. So it's not a question of them being able to see it. They won't see it, and then you have the wall. And what happened when we went to the pre-app on this and sat down with Mr. Smith and others, and they made it quite clear to us, sure, if you want to do storage, fine, no expansion of the building and no access to 486, and the PUD meets that. The reason I point that out is this particular person has indicated that this is going to impact that low-density residential style in the neighborhood south of LKQ. That person's lot is 300 feet away from the Suncoast Parkway, and in between that person's lot and the parkway is the drainage retention area. Her lifestyle is going to be altered not by LKQ, but by FDOT. Next one, please. So this is the storage area, the 13.25 acres we talked about. You can see a lot of drainage areas, and you can see how we've lined these cars up. Mr. Ingram's here. He can speak to you about how long they stay and how they get there and what's done with them. It's a remarkable recycling program. So let's go to the next one. That's the next one. The project is in the planned service area. It's in the coastal high hazard area. The project, the commercial part of it's straightforward. It's on an arterial road and it's served by central water and sewer. And certainly that project, the whole area is going to grow into this type of use. We put the PUD on it because you know when you say you're going to rezone something to industrial, all kinds of red flags go up. People get always concerned. And so we've put this PUD on it and said, hey, we're going to have 13 acres of cars that aren't operational, that make no noise, that have no impact. They're just going to sit there, and they're going to be rotated in and rotated out with the LKQ model of doing business. And I understand they sit there for 6 to 8 weeks, and then they're crushed and sent to Japan for steel. It is an expansion of an existing business. What I learned at the PDC hearing was when the Damerons, and Mrs. Dameron's here tonight, when they originally had this storage yard, the access was not from 486. It came from the south through that low-density residential area, and it was out there in the middle of nowhere in the 60s and 70s. And then the Damerons participated in the expansion of 486 and donated property to make it happen. You have Avis's Craig's professional report on plan consistency in your file. Avis had surgery yesterday, and she's doing well, but she's not going to be here tonight.
We wish her well.
And thank you. And we had her testimony transcribed, and I think she did a wonderful job of addressing the issues of concurrency, consistency, and compatibility. So I said I wouldn't take 3 hours like we did at PDC. I think I'm going to
Okay.
get there.
Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Stillwell?
So the 10 conditions, you're good with the 10
Yes, sir.
conditions?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Joe? You're not taking 3 hours either, are you?
No, sir.
Ron, what page was the 10 conditions?
All right, here we go. Go ahead, Joe.
Yes, sir. This application is requesting to change the subject property from LDR and PSO to GNC and industrial with a PUD only on the industrial portion. The land use change in its entirety is approximately 72 acres, and the PUD is about 46.44 acres. And as you can see, the parcel is quite large, and it does completely surround a county DRA. So here you can see the existing land uses. Mr. Stillwell went over these, so I'll just skim over them here. This is what the proposal will look like if approved. And here's the master plan. The master plan is specifically for open storage for auto salvage. It will take access strictly through the existing LKQ site, which accesses off of County Road 46. They are requesting a few deviations as part of this request. Mr. Stillwell went through those. But again, specifically, one of them is for landscaping between the proposed industrial and the proposed commercial. And another one is for the setbacks on the southeast and north, southeast and north property lines. The subject property is located within our planned service area, and it is within the corridor planning zone, and it will have access to central water and central sewer. The area is already a mix of industrial, commercial, and residential properties, and so by having the plan unit development, especially for the industrial portion, it will limit the development on this property specifically to open storage for LKQ. And so the findings of fact have all been found to be positive findings, and the Planning and Development Commission on their September 16th hearing did recommend approval with conditions.
Okay. Any questions for Joe? Commissioners? Seeing none, thank you, sir. All right, with that, we'll open up to the public hearing. Is there anybody to speak for or against? All right, which one's coming first? Josh, he didn't invite me to lunch today, so the heck with him. Mr. Taylor?
Good evening, Commissioners.
How are you, sir?
Good. For the record, I'm Don Taylor, President of the Board of Economic Development Authority for Citrus County, better known as EDAC, and my credentials are on file. And you probably don't find it shocking that I'm here to support adding good-paying jobs to Citrus County, and a vote for this application would do that. And statistically, over 70% of new jobs come from existing businesses in a community. And this is a prime example of that. And LKQ produces their product, which is repurposed car parts, sells most of it outside of Citrus County, brings the revenue back to Citrus County to pay employees, to pay taxes. Those employees spend their money locally to support other businesses. So this is the kind of business we want to support here in the county. And they've been a good business here, and very environmental friendly, and employ a lot of people. So I request that you approve this application and move it forward.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Don, need you to fill a green card out for me. Thank you.
I don't get a pass.
Unfortunately, you do. Welcome.
Just 1 minute?
name's on the building.
Just 1 minute?
Yeah, 1 minute, only 1 minute.
Yeah, it won't take long. Josh Wooten, not a part of the Damron Family Trust, but I wish I was.
I bet you do.
But I'm CEO of the Chamber of Commerce. And we're in favor of this. We've been following it all the way through. We went to the PDC. I've toured the facility. As Don mentioned, this is a great progression to a local business expanding. It really has international, they do business internationally right out of that facility, so it's kind of a source of pride too. There's nobody around it to impact. Clark may have covered it, but those cars are all drained of everything that's toxic before they even go out there. What are they, hulks? Hulks. They're referred to as hulks once they're out there. So we would urge you to send this to transmit with the conditions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else to speak for or against? Anybody else to speak for or against? With that, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Commissioners, any comments?
Mr. Chair, I do.
Kitchen?
Yes, sir. Once again, I'll just remind people that zoning hearings aren't about job creation. They're not about whether it's a good business, a bad business, whether we like them or not. It's about, is it compatible and with the adjacent land uses, and does it protect everybody's property rights? And my feeling is that this does, and also with the 10 conditions. So what I'd like to do, Mr. Chair, is make a motion that we approve and authorize staff to transmit the application of CPA AA PUD 21-11 to the Department of Economic Opportunity and other state agencies for comment, and that would include the 10 conditions, and I make this motion based on competent and substantial evidence.
And I will second that. Commissioners, is there any other comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Congratulations. All right, T3. This ain't gonna take 3 hours, is it?
It better not, I tell you. This is the PowerPoint disregard. We do not have a PowerPoint for this particular application. You're being asked to transmit a new element of the comprehensive plan. In 2021, the Florida legislature and the governor approved House Bill 59, which requires all jurisdictions in the state to adopt a new private property rights element. And you can see the wording from the House bill in the staff report. And this commission already respects private property rights. You do make a consideration on all of the land use hearings. So this particular element really doesn't change things for us other than creating it, but we are creating it. The Thousand Friends of Florida did prepare a model ordinance. It contains a lot of things about how to conduct a quasi-judicial hearing and how you should do notices, et cetera. We've already addressed that with our quasi-judicial ordinance and our land development code. So it's in your packet as well, but we did not follow that. That's extra, and actually I think we go above and beyond some of that. And there also is a consultant's preparation for Walton County. They were one of the first ones to pass this, so I did include that in there as well. We've included the minimum language required by the bill in the element, so you're being asked to transmit this to DEO and state agencies.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that, we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing. Is there anybody here to speak for or against? Anybody here to speak for or against? Seeing none, we will go ahead and close the public portion. Commissioners?
Chair, I would make the motion to adopt and authorize the execution of this ordinance for CPA-21-12 private property rights, and that to direct the clerk to execute the
All right,
ordinance.
we've got a motion by Commissioner Slayball.
Excuse me, we're not trying to adopt tonight. This is
No,
a
it's a
transmittal to
transmittal.
state agencies.
Well, thank you.
No
But
problem.
it says that you're asking for.
I am not. I'm sorry if it says that.
Transmit,
There you
excuse
go.
me, not
All right,
adopt.
we got a motion by Commissioner Slayball.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Is there any other comments, Commissioners? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0, and we are adjourned.